Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Some Full Metal Demon Muramasa. Now, we're currently in the middle of the racing arc, and we decided to go look for Ichijo. Why? I don't know. I'm not trying to actively max anything out. I'm just playing the game. I'm sure if you were min-maxing for minimum routes, you'd probably have gone with Utori to try and score some brownie points and max her out. But I'm just kind of picking what seems somewhat sensible and seeing where we go from there. We're investigating the racing crews to see if one of them is aware of Ginseigo and working with them to make a fucking mess with their Tsurugi. And since we now believe that Ginseigo replicates itself every time one of its eggs hatches, we definitely need to find those eggs before there's two Ginseigos running around killing two villages every 3 weeks or whatever. Not the most terrifying thing, but hey, you know, if they double themselves and then the doubles double themselves, and that happens just a few times, we're looking at more Ginseigos than there are people on Earth. It's not even that many times, honestly. But more likely it's gonna take too long for that to happen. And we'd probably be long dead by the time there's like, I don't know, 10,000 Ginseigos? Ginseigos? Could be pretty nasty. Let's dive into this. So, we thought Ichijo should be around here somewhere. Don't know where here is. And we heard something. Oh, did she get caught? Is that shouting I hear further down the corridor? I pick up the pace. I said apologize! Fuck off. I turn the corner to find Ichijo in front of a garage, squaring off against a burly mechanic. Behind her on the floor is a little boy, his eyes wet with tears. The sign says authorized personnel only. Can't you read? It's the little shit's own fault for walking in uninvited. Or does it say you've got to throw him out? You're just a shithead who gets his kicks beating up kids. Probably. Alright. The heck? There's no need for further explanation. Without breaking stride, I interpose myself between Ichijo and the man. Minato-san? Sir? The hell are you? Thank you for the drink, my friend. Pardon me, sir. I'm this girl's guardian. Minato-san! Quiet. Guardian? Yes. If she did something to offend you, I'll be... Asshole. I said, be quiet. I grab Ichijo's arm and yank her behind me before she can pounce on the man. We're busy here. I don't got time for this bullshit. I apologize for the trouble. Get lost, dumbass. Very well. The man returns to his garage, but not before spitting on my bowed head. After wiping my head with my handkerchief, I turn to Ichijo. Let's go. Are you alright? I ask the boy. He leaps up and fixes me with a baleful glare. Coward. Hey kid, watch what you're... Forget it. The child bows to Ichijo and then runs off down the hall. I catch a glimpse of the logo on the back of his shirt. It's the same one that was on the mechanic's jumpsuit. Now that we've caused a disturbance here, it would be best not to stay in the area. I start walking in the opposite direction towards the stands, and after a brief pause, Ichijo follows. What? Was I wrong?
Hello there.
No, I'd say no. You weren't wrong. Huh?
I'm
leaning towards no. That was an easy
違
decision.
うか
Correct me if I'm wrong. That boy was a fan who tried to enter the garage, and that mechanic treated him roughly.
はい、そうです。だから私。
Yeah, that's right. That's why I...
お前が怒るのは何も不思議なことではない。弱者への暴力は最も卑劣な行為だ。
It was natural for you to get angry. Using violence against the weak is one of the most reprehensible of acts.
お前の怒りは正しいと。
I respect your anger.
はい。
Thank you. I mean, she wasn't wrong to think it was ridiculous. Maybe her actions... She didn't really do anything other than threaten more violence, so whatever. Like, yeah, it's not really worth it. Was it wrong to have that opinion? No. Was it worth spending effort on? Not really. I think that's the impression that Kageaki would have. My back is to her, but I can feel her lift up her head.
それじゃあ、港さんはどうして？
Then why did you...
理由1、俺たちの目的を考えるなら騒ぎを起こすのは得策と言えない。
First,
実際
it is
あの
detrimental
辺
to
り
our
での
mission
調
to
査
start
はでき
trouble.
なくなった。
We won't be able to search that area now.
はい、
I know.
ごめんなさい。
I'm sorry.
謝る必要はない。理由2、あのまま論争を続けた場合、暴力沙汰になるのは避けら
Oh,
れ
you
そう
need
に
to
な
be
か
sorry.
った。
Second, if the argument had
だから
continued,
頭を下げて
violence was
打ち切った。
likely. Therefore, I apologize to diffuse the situation.
そんな、港さんならあんなの簡単に。
What? You can take on that guy, no problem.
殴り倒して頭を踏みつけてごめんなさいもうしませんと謝らせるべきだったか。
So I should have knocked him down, put my boot on his head, and made him apologize? What?
はい。
Yeah.
そうかもしれない。あるいはそれが正しいのかもしれない。
Maybe I should have. Maybe that was the right thing to do. Oh, thanks, you guys.
だが俺は嫌だ。
But I refuse to resolve things like that.
どうしてですか？
Why's that?
今言ったはずだ。弱者への暴力は卑劣だと。
As I just said, using violence against those weaker than yourself is reprehensible.
あの男性は民間人にしか見えなかった。戦闘技術を心得た人間と争って勝つ方法をおそらく何も持たないと推測される。
I doubt he could have defended himself against someone with my training.
そんな相手に理由はどうあれ一方的な暴力を加えるなら
If I were to
俺は俺を
exercise
嫌
violence
悪する。
against such a person for any reason, I'd despise myself. And that's precisely why I despise myself more than any words can express.
でも、向こうが殴ってきたら仕方がないんじゃ。
He hit you first.
殴られるのは別にどうということもない。痛いとも思わない。
Let him hit me. It's a small price to pay.
害することに比べれば害されることなど何も痛くはない。
Compared to the pain of doing harm, the pain of being harmed is nothing. The edge.
一条
Ichijo.
調査を再開する。
Let's resume our
この
search.
先は俺に同行しろ。
You're with me. Well, we knew she'd get into trouble. It's not advancing the plot. We figured this would happen. Oh, okay. We got points for Ichijo, sort of accidentally. I mean, we just made the decision that made sense. Otori is probably able to is most likely able to handle herself. I mean, is our character even aware of the trouble between her and the and Chachamaru? I don't think so. Potential trouble between her and Chachamaru? I don't think so. So we have no reason to go looking for Otori. She's definitely able to get information. I mean, it's her literal job is to get information from you. So I'm sure she can get information from other people, right? As the sun sets, we bring our investigation to a close. People tend to be more wary of strangers at night, and it's best to avoid needless suspicion. You're in a being dark and philosophically edgy contest near points Kageaki Minato. Yes, that seems to be the case. That would be a risky proposition. I'd have to refer to a couple of Sonic the Hedgehog's more fun games, or should I say his more fun rival in Shadow, or some other similarly edgy characters to get some ammunition if I wanted to win that one. The four of us head back to the commissioner's residence where we exchange information over tea. There are three major points of interest. First, Muramasa was able to confirm that there are no infected Tsurugi among those that participated in the qualifier or practiced on the track after. However, most of the major competitors such as Tamura, Shokyo, and Yokotan have not yet revealed their machines. Second, every team is dead set on winning this Grand Prix. As expected, they can all be considered hungry for power. Third, there is conflict over the question of whether to legalize gambling on the races.
賭博家ですか。それは例えば、競
Oh,
馬
you
の
mean
よう
like horse racing?
ええ、そういうことなのでしょうね。アーマーレースの人気の高さからして莫大な利益が期待できます。
Yes, that's the impression I got. A sport as popular as armor racing offers a lucrative opportunity.
確かに。しかし、対立があるとのお話ですが。
You say there's opposition?
はい、田村を中心に一部で。
Yes, from a few teams centered around Tamura.
なんで反対してるんだ？
Why are they opposed?
それこそ競馬のようにしたくないからでございましょう。海外ではともかくこの国における競馬はなかなかに紳士の遊戯とは呼びにくいものになってしまいましたから。
Precisely because they don't want it to go the way of horse racing, which in this country at least has long ceased to be a gentlemanly affair. True, true.
なるほどね。そりゃそうか。楽しくレースをやってる連中にしてみれば、同じ鉄を踏むのは勘弁ってことだな。
They're afraid it'll ruin the fun of the sport? Are they afraid that it's gonna bring it to a professional level where you have to be a professional to compete? Because it feels like it already is, given the cost of a Tsurugi. And the difficulty of acquiring one for the layperson. In general, but... sure. Maybe it'll ruin the sport by bringing money into it. I don't know what their concern is.
対立の構図、および優劣はいかがなものでしょうか。
So the divisions in this conflict, Captain.
申し上げました通り、反対派は田村中心。一方、推進派の中核は小京です。圧倒的に優勢なのはこちら側。五行の輝きが強いので、大概の関係企業は目を伏せて従っています。
Tamura leads those opposed. The other side is led by Shokyo, and they have an overwhelming advantage. With their backing, it's not hard to bend other manufacturers to their will.
五行？
Backing?
あなたの大好きな六原様。
Your favorite Rokuhara. Because you know what would be best for the sport of Tsurugi racing is gambling, because nothing says solid competition like people throwing races to earn money. Good stuff, good stuff.
金の匂いがするとどこにでも首を突っ込みやがるな、あの山犬ども。
You can count on jackals to come running at the smell of money. Of course, of course. Well, they could implement a fairly profitable tax of a small number, like say 95% on all of this gambling, earning them a healthy paycheck of all the money you could possibly make.
具体的にはお弓久保今川来長様の幕僚との間に太いパイプがある模様でございます。大正領殿下のご子息の姿が背後に見え隠れしていては逆らうのも覚悟がいり
Now,
ま
to
し
be
ょう。
more precise, Shokyo has strong ties to General Imagawa Raicho, the governor of Oyumi. It would take some gumption to risk offending the shogun's son.
しかし、背後に幕府がついていようと、客層の支持がなければ賭博家は難しいはず。レース愛好者たちがそのような変化に背を向けたなら、それ
Even
ま
with
でのこ
shogun
と
as
です。
support, you'd need public interest to run a gambling operation. If the fans shun it, there's no money to be made.
そのあたりについては、
How do they address this problem?
だからこそこの大会なのです、影明様。ファンが待ち望んだこの大和 GP で勝利を収めれば、人気は そのチームに集まります。
Ah, that's what this race is for. Whichever team wins the Yamato Grand Prix will command the loyalty of the fans.
あとはその人気を背景に賭博家への支持を得ていけばよろしゅうございましょう。もっともこれは反対派にも同様のことが
And
言え
after
る理
that,
屈
they
でご
need
ざ
to
いま
only
す
use
が。
their popularity to convince fans to accept gambling or reject it. Interesting proposition, doesn't work in real life. It doesn't really matter how unpopular bad monetization models are. They'll still get shoved down your throat because people are stupid. We live in 2020 something right now. And I can tell you for absolute certainty that people are opposed to every kind of monetization, shitty monetization model under the sun. Remember when people hated loot boxes? They even hated on Overwatch, because Overwatch had the ability to earn you free loot boxes at whatever rate you wanted, because basically you had to play like 3 games to get a loot box, and people still hated on that shit when it wasn't even like bad. And it still got pushed through. We still have those glorious loot boxes. We still have gacha everywhere. So I don't think that was stopped. I remember when people were raging at World of Warcraft and I think Skyrim for having... Wow, was it actually Skyrim? For having a horse armor DLC? Was it for Skyrim? And a horse for sale in WoW? I remember that, and yeah, that hasn't stopped at all. I can't even think of a single form of monetization that people hated on that was actually stopped. Oh, it was Oblivion horse armor. It was older than Skyrim. Yeah. Yeah, there's like a 0% chance that even if the fans rejected gambling, that it wouldn't be insanely profitable. Because there'd be a gorillion people who blindly accept it, who don't give a fuck about whether or not it's good for the sport, or ruins it, or makes everyone's lives more miserable. They only care to throw their wallet at shit and flex on people. That's how we have so many bad MMOs. I really like MMOs. I'm gonna say, I really like MMOs, and 9 out of 10 MMOs are hot fucking garbage because there's so many fucking Korean whales in MMOs. It's just like, alright, so this game is absolute garbage unless you're paying like $100 a month in XP boosters to actually get anywhere, or in item drop boosters, or in success boosters. But it's apparently a successful game because some idiots are willing to spend hundreds of dollars to make a mediocre game okay, ruining it for literally every single other person. And it doesn't even make it that good for them because, what, you're spending a fuck ton of money? Yeah, like, it better be the best shit on the planet if you're paying hundreds of dollars, but it's not. Oh, whatever. Can't do much about that now. People are too dumb and everyone's completely willing to accept any shitty monetization model. Oh well. Yeah, 100% don't buy into this plot, but, you know, let's just enjoy it because it's a story.
いずれにとってもこのヤマトグランプリが天王山ということですか?
As gambling on any kind of competition is probably the least egregious monetization model around. Okay, so Shokyo and Tamura are both determined to win this race at all costs. Cool, the picture is starting to come together. While there's no concrete evidence as of yet, we've found our prime suspects.
Tamura か、Shokyo か.
It's Tamura or Shokyo.
おそらくはどちらかが。
Most likely.
どちらも明日の本予選に参戦いたしますね。
They'll unveil their machines at tomorrow's preliminary? Okay, good. We have a time. Although, it's very possible the answer is neither, right? They're telling us it's one or the other, but it's possible it's just neither.
なら、明日にはわかるってわけだ。
That's when we'll know for sure. Tomorrow. The final race isn't until the day after, but for me at least, it looks like tomorrow will decide matters.
小京の方だといいんだけどな。
I hope it's Shokyo. As coincidence would have it, Ichijo says exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, considering we were hanging out with Tamura all day, and they seemed like nice people, I can see why he wants that. Especially because he's a fan of the designer.
ミサオちゃん、こっちもよろしく頼むよ。
Don't forget about me.
はい。
Okay.
たまらん。
Yeah, that's all right. Well, I can see where this scene's leading, or where this scene is at, should I say?
やれやれ、なんてはしたない子だ。
My, what a naughty girl.
困ったものですな。こんな淫乱では将来が心配です。
Have to make
うち
sure our
の
daughters
娘は
don't
こん
wind
な
up
風
like
にな
her.
らないように気をつけなくては。
いやいや、まったく。お父ちゃんも大変でしょう。ん
Couldn't agree more. Must be tough for her dad, eh?
いや、これはこれで可愛いじゃないですか。わしは一息ついたらもう一発いきますぞ。ああ、王子くん、一杯ついでくれ。
She's adorable in her own way, no? I'll give her some more love after I take a quick break. Come, Oji, pour me a glass.
はい、どうぞ。
Yes, here you are, sir.
いや、本当に。これだから情にほだされてしまいますな。我々にとって田村のレーサークルス部門への資金援助は特に魅力的ではないのですが。
No wonder we've grown so attached. Normally we'd have no reason to support Tamura's racing division.
このように体を張って誠意を示されては仕方がない。金のことは心配せず存分にやりたまえよ、王子くん。
But with these perks, how can we refuse? Don't worry about the money, Oji. Keep up the good work.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. He's thanking them. All right.
笑っていろ。
Keep laughing.
いくらでも笑え。お前らのことなど人間とは思っていない。
Laugh all you want. You're not even human.
牛の世話をしているようなものだ。金という乳を絞り出すため、餌を食わせて糞尿の始末をしてやっているに過ぎない。
You're just cattle. We'll feed you and clean your shit as long as cash keeps flowing from your udders.
家畜の世話をすれば汚れるのは当然だ。それだけのことだ。それだけの。
When you work with livestock, you get dirty. You just have to accept it.
僕とミサオが手にする栄冠の前には、こんなこと何ほどのものでもない。
It'll all be worth it once we get our hands on the crown.
あるものか。
It'll all be worth it. Well, so he's promising himself. Alright then. Is that supposed to be our hint that maybe they're more desperate than we think they are? Or perhaps our suggestion that they're not the guilty party? In this case being the ones working with Ginseigo, either knowingly or unknowingly. The next day, I arrive at the circuit a little later than the others. I had to follow up on the matter I discussed with the commissioner yesterday. Fortunately, the track is still empty and there's time before the preliminary starts.
ポリスチームにですか？
We're on the police team?
ああ、所長に依頼して手を回してもらった。我々は今後、ポリスチームの構成員として行動することができる。
I asked the commissioner to get us registered, and from now on, we'll be able to act as police team members.
これが証明書だ。持っておけ。関係者以外は立ち入り禁止の区画にも、これを示せば堂々と入れる。
Suddenly, his
昨日のように
connections
忍び
are
込む必要はない。
actually useful instead of useless. Most of the time, they're not really doing much for him other than allowing him to make a claim that no one ever tries to prove. Here are your badges. Keep them on you. These will allow us access to any part of the circuit and its facilities. We won't have to sneak around like we did yesterday.
はい。
Okay.
だいぶ行動しやすくなりますね。逆にライバルチームの人間ということで警戒させてしまう場合もあるかもしれませんけれど。
It'll make things easier, of course. Now, some of the teams might treat us as rivals.
そのあたりは臨機応変でようございましょう。
You can worry about that when it happens. I mean, to be fair, I don't think the police team is in the running for first place, so people probably aren't too worried, right?
そうね。
I suppose so. Just then, the roar of a cannon announces the start of the preliminary. Swarms of crewmen leap into the pit and begin sending their racers onto the track. The humanoid bullets burst into motion, the roar of their guitari drowning out the cannon's echoes. Louder still is the cheer that erupts from the stands. The race has begun. You want to romance the old lady? Really?
どうですか？
He'll roast you for that too. Don't think that's gonna get you on her good side. See anything yet? Ichijo shouts, covering her ears. This is their first race. She must not have been ready for the noise. The Otori pair appear unfazed. I scan the track. No sign of Shokyo or Shimura. They likely don't want to risk damaging the machines in the chaos that rules the first few seconds of any race. Inexperienced play. As the pack enters the first corner, 2 or 3 machines collide and ricochet into the escape zone. One even slams headfirst into a sand trap. He's done for the day. Oh, rip.
Muramasa, 現状報告。
Muramasa, report.
該当機なし。ちなみに壁に突っ込んだあれは迅速な救助が必要。
All clear. By the way, the one that crashed into the wall needs immediate assistance.
そのようだな。
So it would seem. I'm sure Muramasa can make out every detail from her perch on the control roof tower. Even my eyes can see enough to estimate the severity of the damage. Fortunately, the circuit staff is trained for this, and a rescue crew immediately rushes out, dousing the Crux's still flaming afterburners and drags the pilot free of the wreckage. Well, that was a short-lived attempt at the Grand Prix victory. Looks like he'll survive. However, his machine, it's off to the junkyard.
脆いのね。
Oh, they're awfully fragile.
そういうものだ。仕方ない。
That's how they're made. Don't let it bother you. That is a redeem for when we're playing racing and fighting games. Usually. Probably doesn't need to be enabled. Probably doesn't need to be enabled, but yeah, that's what it's for. Character and car pick for when you want to race with a different car. Or make me play another character. It can be fun. Yes, we only have one protagonist here. There's only one character to pick here, Minato Kageaki. Guess you can simp for Ichijo or Otori if you want to. I understand where Muramasa's incredulity comes from. To a smith who lived in a time of war, I'm sure it's unthinkable anyone would forge a tsurugi that could be destroyed by a mere collision. While racing cruxes exhibit unparalleled low-altitude mobility, they lack the strength and durability that are essential for combat, and such qualities simply are not necessary. A racing crux only needs enough armor to protect the pilot's life, and even that is often stripped down to the bare minimum. Every other part of the design is devoted to speed and maneuverability, as that's the only way to build a winning machine. I answer Ichijo with a shake of my head, and then go back to watching the brave pilots in their flying coffins. Still no sign of the two major contenders.
早くも一気突出しておりますね。
Ooh, one racer has already broken free of the pack.
横端のスーパーハウンド。このラインナップでは敵なしでしょう。
Baton Super Hound. It'll be tough to beat that machine in this lineup.
機体だけでなく機種も一流です。ベルト駆動の翼をよく御している。
See how well he controls his wings?
駆動ロスが少ないだけに制御が手強い部分もあるはずですのにね。教科書的なコーナー攻めもまずはお見事。
Impressive, given he's using belt drive. You lose a lot of stability for that gain in shift speed. And look, even in his cornering is textbook perfect.
なあ、今日のこいつはどういうルールのレースなんだ？
How does this race work?
昨日とおおむね同じでございますよ。規定時間内に達成したベストラップを競います。その上位20機が明日の決勝レースへの出場権を得られる次第で。
More or less the same as yesterday's qualifier, they have a set amount of time to post the best lap they can. The top 20 will go on to tomorrow's final, but they all rushed at the start of the gun? Interesting.
じゃあさっさと始めた方が有利なんじゃねえのか？まだ出てきてないチームはだいぶいるよな。
So isn't it better to start early? It looks like some teams aren't out yet. If it's just a qualifier, why rush? You got all day to wait for perfect conditions, fix your car, or sorry, Tsurugi up, make sure it's ready. And you don't want to be rushing out to get in first, because then look at the mess that'll happen with that guy. You just crashed.
基本的にその通りでございますが、慌てる小じはもらいが少ないとも申します。焦りすぎると宣告のように痛い目を見ることもございますので。
If you rush it, you could end up like that fellow in the sand trap. I mean, you have all day or a little bit of time. Yeah, they have the set amount of time to post the best lap, so they got a couple laps they can do. You just want to separate yourself from everyone else so you can just set the fastest time you can without worrying about other people messing you up, right? Unless you want to take advantage of drag reduction, right? By trailing some cars. Tsurugi. That'd be the only benefit from having other people around. You could get behind them and go that little bit faster. For a short period of time, of course. Yeah, you don't want to inflict the guy in the sand trap. I see what you mean.
決勝進出がほぼ確実の実力チームにとって恐れるべきは敵よりも自己。頃合いを見て参加し、十分な記録を出したら速やかに退去する。そ
Top
れが
teams
セ
are
オリーで
practically
ございます。
guaranteed to make the final, so at this stage they're more worried about accidents. They'll show up when it suits them, post sufficient time, and then leave the track.
あ、もう引き上げてる。
Oh, one just pulled off the track.
そう、あのように。横単でございますね。記録
Just like
は
that. Yokotan, is it?
1
Let's
分
see.
27秒19。なるほど、なるほど。
127.19. Well, now.
いい記録なのか。
Is that good?
上位5機のうちには間違いなく入ります。
Good enough to make the top
へ
5.
え。あれは何やってんだ。
What's that flag?
はて、何か信号機が出たようでございますが、
A signal flag.
お嬢様、お分かりになりませんか？
Mistress, you know what that one means?
向こう機構の通告ですね。25番イシュトラトカケ兵団さんのダガーアプティマに対してどうや
Illegal
ら
flight, I
ア
think.
ーチオーバーのようです。
Looks like number 25, Dagger Optima by the Ishtora Lizard Warriors went over the arches. Gotta stay within those arches, I suppose. Alright.
アーチオーバ
Arches, here's the explanation.
コースの上にいくつもアーチがかかっていますでしょ。レーサーは必ずあの下をくぐっていかなくてはならないのです。
Do you see the arches lining the track? The racers have to pass beneath them.
ー。ああ、なるほど。そりゃそうか。あいつらは空飛んでるんだから、そういうルールがなけりゃコースなんて意味ないよな。
Oh, that makes sense. There wouldn't be any point in having a course otherwise, but with them flying.
くぐり損ねた場合はそこから先の機構を無効にされてしまいますの。戻ってくぐり直さない限り。
The racer goes over, the distance after that doesn't count. He has to go back and actually pass beneath the arch.
まあ、予選では大した問題ではありません。次の周回で気をつければいいだけのことですから。
Good evening, my
し
friend.
かし、決勝レースでは致命的になります。
It's not a serious problem in the preliminary. He'll just need to be more careful his next time around the track. In the final race, however, it's a fatal mistake.
最小でも5秒から10秒のタイムロスは覚悟しなくてはならない。そうなれば勝利はまず無理だ。レースが荒れている場合はまた別だがな。
You'll lose at least 5 seconds, maybe as much as 10. There's no chance of coming in first after that, well, unless the race is particularly rough.
はあ。ところで割と気になってたんですけど、港さんってもしかしてアーマーレースが好きなんですか？
By the way, sir, I've been meaning to ask, are you really into armor racing or something?
好きだ。
I love the sport. I was president of my school's racing enthusiast club.
あ、やっぱり。じゃあ港さん、私に教えてくれませんか？レースのことをいろいろ。
Maybe you could teach me, about racing?
お嬢様、ピンチ！敵はあなたと趣味を合わせ隊の構成に出てまいりました。この戦法は単純ながら男心に訴えるところ大、極めて有効です。
Mistress, the enemy's using the I want to share your hobbies tactic. Though simple, one can't underestimate its effect on the male psyche.
なんですって許さなくてよ、そのようなこと。
Oh no, what? I won't let that happen.
違う。私はただ知っておけば捜査の役に立つんじゃないかと思って。
It's not like that. I just thought it'd be useful for the mission and all.
見事な建前でございます。で
A
は
fine
本
excuse.
音の方は。
Now, what's the real reason?
うん。
Well,
港さんのことをもっと知りたいか
I wanted to get to know
ら。
him.
じゃあね
Wait, what the hell are you trying to
何
make
言わ
me
せやが
say?
る。
乙女チック。
Oh, so cute.
乙女チック。
They both agree it's cute.
口に接着剤塗るぞてめえら。港さんもなんとか言ってください。
I'm gonna hold your mouth shut, sir. Please say.
いいのか
Are you certain?
レースのこと。発祥に始まり、欧州での爆発的流行、ヤマトでの幕開け、
That you want to learn about racing. We'll begin with the sport's origin in Britain, its explosive spread across Europe, its growth and evolution in Yamato.
4WD の発明、アフターバーナーの登場、田村鉄鋼祭の偉業、横丹の怪物機、ハウンドの欧州侵攻、弘中兄弟の苦闘。
The invention of the four-wing drive and the afterburner, the legacy of Tamura Tekosai, the European invasion of Yokotan's mighty hound, and the trials of the Hironaka brothers.
話し始めたら1時間では終わらんが。
I'll need several hours to cover everything.
いや、
No, a
丸
day
1
even.
日は必要になる。シャフト駆動、チェーン駆動、ベルト駆動のそれぞれの長短について説明し、540型アフターバーナーの機構を図説。
I'll need to explain the pros and cons of the shaft, chain, and belt drive systems, then draw you a blueprint of the Type 54 afterburner. Sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, I'm sure someone who's actually entertaining could make YouTube videos on every single one of those, and they'd be amazing. I don't know if I'd want Kageaki to teach me all this, though. He's very dry.
そしてボールベアリングが駆動系に及ぼす影響の実態と避けて通れないアンダーステア対策について述べ、ミッドシップ構造の鋼材に移り4翼独立サスペンション。
Next, I'll describe the effects of ball bearing actuation and how pilots have attempted to remedy the understeering problem. From there, it's the merits and demerits of midship engine mounting, then four-wing independent suspension. I'd just like to point out that he's just replacing a few words here, and these are all problems that car racing has had to deal with, as I recall. Just so you know, four-wing independent suspension. How about we Control F replace wing with wheel? Suddenly it's a feature cars have these days. Famous for airplane fights and swordsmiths? Yeah. Known issues with understeer. Yeah, it's good stuff. Everything gets replaced with Tsurugi. We don't have cars here. We just have Tsurugi.
これはホットボルトとその前後作品を比較評価して解説するのが最も分かりやすいが、であればまず順序として田村の 2WD 機における傑作ワツプの評価から。
This is best understood by comparing Hot Bolt to other designs of the period, but first I'll have to go into the strengths of Tamura's ultimate two-wing drive design, the Wasp. Sorry?
影明様、しっかりなさって。なんだかキャラが変わっていましたよ。
I thought this was his attempt to drive her off. Step out of it, Kageaki. You're supposed to be stoic and taciturn.
私が悪いの？
Is this my fault?
殿方には押してはならないスイッチというものがあるのでございます。年齢、人格には一切関係なく。
Oh man,
どうか
regardless
ご
of
注
age
意くださいませ。
or personality, have a switch that must never be flipped. Please take care in the future.
つまりサンダーボルトの登場によって田村の欲はひとまず完成の領域へ到達を果たしたと言えるのだが、それは反面小胸や横森との差を浮き彫りにしたとも言え。
So while the Thunderbolt marked the pinnacle of Tamura's four-wing drive line, it also served to accentuate the gap between them in the competition as embodied by the Shokyo and Yokotan.
まあそれはそれとして、これはいかがいたしましょうか。
Anyway, what do we do about this? Yeah! Something explodes against the side of my neck. Oh, that's actually a very high-res image of her. I didn't realize how high-res the sprites were in this game. Since they've always been standing at a distance, now that it's up close, you can see that it's not really losing too much quality. If you look closely, if you look very closely, between her hair and the sky on the right side, that'll be our right, her left. It's a little bit there's a bit of a jagged edge. Probably could use some AA to fix that. But other than that, it's not too bad. Pretty hard to notice any other edges, although there is some, like with her hat. The brim of her hat has some edges, so does the top of it. Those are the most noticeable edges. The jaggies, and everywhere else is pretty good. Hard to tell, especially within the outfit. Like, The lines of the what is this? Like the black mini corset or whatever seems good. The lines of the blue lines of the dress seem good. The hairline, the lines of her hair on her around her face, they all look good. Anyway, something explodes against the side of my neck.
失礼。いささか
Pardon me.
我を失
I
ってい
lost
た
control
よ
of
うです
myself for a moment there.
もう影明様ったら
You're so adorable.
一条、話は暇のある時にしよう。今
talk
の
about
俺たち
racing
に
another
は
time.
やることがある。
For now, let's focus on the mission.
はい、そうですね。
I returned my attention to the circuit, and as before, the racers are jockeying violently for position. I watch with no small interest. Is it just me, or did the audio completely die here? I mean, they're still talking, so the game's not muted, but there's no background music. Interesting. You assume the scene's fading? Yeah. After several minutes pass with no significant developments on the track, I feel the urge to use the restroom. Excusing myself, I leave and head for the hotel adjacent to the track. Captain Otori joins me, saying she wants to wash the sand out of her hair. I suppose that hair, as long and luxurious as hers, is difficult to maintain. Those arches seem very small, considering they're flying, and they have to have space to, like, fly beside or above another person. Honestly, I would have thought the arches would be way taller, and probably a bit bigger. They look like there's, like, it looks like there's just, like, I don't know, like 5 meters. It's like a 5 by 5 meter arch. Seems a little bit small for me. Like maybe for a simple solo time attack, but that's gotta cause some problems with people colliding into the arches at times, right? Especially if people are flying, they collide, someone hits the arch, taking it out. Now it's a mess. The race is over. I'd go for bigger arches. Anyway, excuse my... Or, I already read this. What am I doing? Hair is difficult to maintain, yes. Because the armor races are as much an excuse for rich corporate sponsors to rub shoulders as they are a spectator sport, it's necessary to cater to those who require a certain level of accommodations. This hotel serves that purpose. After finishing my business, I head to the captain's room, intending to escort her back to the circuit. However, I find myself too awestruck by the sheer majesty of the door to actually knock on it. If the door alone is this magnificent, how much must it cost to rent the room itself, I ponder. The best I can manage is a vague sense that if a police officer wanted to stay one night in such a room, he'd have to be willing to spend the remainder of the month on the street. The captain's willingness to rent this room for the sake of a mere shower clearly stems from a mentality that the fiscally impaired civil servants can never hope to comprehend. After some moments, I finally steel myself to enter. She rented a room that costs as much as a month's wages for a shower. Alright then.
Kageaki-sama?
Is that you, dear?
はい。
It is. It's me.
どうぞ
Come in.
少々お待ちくださいましね。すぐに身を整えますから。
Please make yourself comfortable. I'll be with you in a minute. That's some spicy art. Alright. We got a spicy CG. Nitro Plus. Doing some good work. I remember this is the censored version. Just keep that in mind. I have no clue what's in the uncensored version. You might have seen this before, say in a Google image search. Yeah, we'll make ourselves real. I mean, I feel like I'm comfortable already. Thanks, Otori.
Huh.
Alright. For a moment, I doubt my own eyes. The captain's standing before me, her porcelain skin flushed from the heat of the shower, covered only by a flimsy towel. And not a particularly large one at that. That's a small-ass towel. Alright. I mean, it seems like a small one. Who knows? It does nothing to hold back the steam rising from her shapely limbs. I can feel an erotic scent worming its way into my brain. Despite her nakedness, the captain's bearing is calm, regal even, as though to say that such concerns are beneath her.
明日のございますよ、お嬢様。
You're being immodest, mistress.
あら、どうして
Oh, am I?
失礼いたしました。自分の方こそ、お迎えに上がるのが少々早すぎたようです。
I should have waited a little longer before coming to get you.
いいですか、お嬢様。 妙齢の女性たる者、殿方に肌を見られた時は直ちに暴力衝動に支配され、攻撃を行わなくてはなりません。
Mistress, when a beautiful maiden such as yourself is caught in a compromising position by one of the male persuasion, she must immediately let the destructive impulse take over her body.
この際は極めて苛烈に、相手の意識を奪うだけの打撃を加える必要がありますゆえ、また方法は素手や武器による殴打よりも重量物による投擲が適切です。
It is necessary in these situations to ensure the offender's complete loss of consciousness. A heavy thrown object is especially useful for this purpose. But she invited us in here? Surely they're not that inconsistent.
そこのブロンズ像などがよろしゅうございましょう。
Might I suggest that bronze statue by the wall?
せめてマグカップ程度にしていただけないものでしょうか。
Can I request that mug instead? Otherwise, I might end up losing more than just consciousness.
もうバーやったら他の方ならいざ知らず影明様との間にそんな他人行儀な振る舞いなんていらないでしょ。
Sayo, this is Kageaki we're talking about. There's no need to be so formal with him.
これはこれで親愛表現なのでございますよ。まあ、お嬢様のようなアプローチの仕方もありではございますが。
Is Otori secretly just trying to show off to us? Get us interested in her? This must be her way of competing with Ichijo, right? She's getting back at her, being flirtatious with us, because we have some competition between two people striving for our affection. It's actually a gesture of affection, you know, though I suppose your approach works just as well.
ねえ、影明様。
Kageaki, dear? I catch a flash of something alluring and vaguely cat-like in her slitted eyes.
このバスタオルの下、お尻になりたい。
Would you like to see what's under this towel?
はい。
Kageaki, no subtlety. No subtlety, but also not doing the generic harem protagonist lines of panic, 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 panic. He's just like, yeah.
ご無理はなさらないで。正直におっしゃってくださったら、私。
She hasn't even noticed what he said yet. Oh, there's no need to be shy. If you just tell me what you want, I'll...
お嬢様、脳内脚本に準拠して話を進めませぬように。
Mistress, that script just went out the window.
あら
Oh? Darling?
影明様
Kageaki?
自分は女性を好みます。特に大尉のようにお美しい方は。
I enjoy looking at naked women, especially those as attractive as yourself. At least he's being honest. And not being creepy about it.
素肌を見せていただけるなら喜んで拝見いたしますが。
If you wish to show me your body, I'll be happy to avail myself of the opportunity.
湊様、お会いした時よりむっつりスケベであろうと拝察しておりましたが、実はむっつりですらなく単にスケベであられたとは。
My good sir, I suspected you for a pervert from the moment we first met, but I never imagined that you'd be an unapologetic one.
侮れのお方でございます。この際を感服つかまつりました。
Most impressive, sir. This will teach me to underestimate you.
恐縮です。
You're too kind.
そ
Hold on.
の
You put yourself in quite the position, Otori.
影明様、マナーでございますよ。とりあえず扉はお閉めくださいませ。
Your manners, sir. Please shut the door behind you.
これは失礼いたしました。気
Pardon
づ
me.
きもせず。
Completely slipped my mind.
さあ、どうぞ、お嬢様。
Now then, mistress, go on.
どうぞって。
Go on? Suddenly she's having second thoughts.
いかがされましたか、お嬢様。先ほどの勢いで、さあ。
What's wrong? Just pick up where you left off.
おやおや、これはどうしたことでございましょう。
Oh, what does this silence mean?
このさよめの主人は口だけの女では決してないはずなのでございますが。湊様、お分かりになられますか？
My mistress certainly isn't the kind of woman who would fail to live up to her word after all. Do you understand the problem, sir?
あ、大体のところは。
Yes, I believe so.
さすがでございます。ええ、あのままお嬢様のペースで話が進んでいたならば、肌の一つや二つ笑ってみせられたことでしょうが。
Very astute of you, as you would have guessed. My mistress gladly would have shown you a few glorious sights if you'd let her keep hold of the reins.
しかしなんたることか。ここに至って弱点が露呈。お嬢様は受けに回るとやたら弱かったのでございます。
You had to go and uncover her weakness. She's actually quite timid when she's not calling the shots. I oh, stop!
影明様、なんと言いますかしら、ここは少しばかりムードに欠けるというか、乙女のときめきを司る第五元素萌えが適正値以下というか。
Kageaki, dear, this is how do I put this? Rather lacking in mood. In that fifth element, moe, that makes maiden swoon.
ですので、
逃げております。全力で逃げを打っておりますよ、お嬢様。
You're running, mistress, like a rabbit from wolves.
逃げてません。わかりました。少々お待ちくださいまし。
I'm not fine. I'll do it. Just give me a minute to prepare.
大丈夫。別にどってことない。どってことない。
That's nothing. Nothing. Exhale. Okay.
ゴブレ、
Pardon me.
はい。
戯れが過ぎました。外にて待っております。身じ
I
ま
let
いをお
myself get a
続け
bit
くださ
carried
い。
away. I'll wait outside while you finish dressing.
ああ、すぐに済ませますゆえ。
We'll be with you momentarily, sir.
どうかごゆるりと。
Please take your
失
time.
礼します。
And he leaves. Cause he's not 12.
さあ、お嬢様、お着替えを。
Come, mistress, I put out your clothes.
何かしら。こう途方もなく敗北感を覚えるのだけど。
Why do I feel so utterly defeated? Because you just took a huge L.
まあ、負けておりましたし。お嬢様もまだまだ未熟者でございます。
No jokes. She just tells her it straight up. Because you were, of course. You still have a lot to learn. Bested. And it was in a scenario you set up at that. You had the home field advantage and lost. Because he wouldn't follow your linear script. And it was even going better than you wanted it to, and you screwed up. Oof. I returned to the stands having attended to my business. And that's when it happens. An announcement over the loudspeakers heralds the arrival of a new team. Team Shokyo Weapons Systems, the Seven Knights of Sanjo. The machine that appears resembles the original Optima, its successor, the Dagger Optima, and its offshoot, the Partisan. It's none of those. Its mighty golden wings can attest. Giant gold wings, a massive codpiece, and some giant racing thrusters. Alright. The racer, Kuruma Go. It's cargo. Alright.
やはりチェーンドライブできたか。しかし
Chain drive as expected, however.
あの鋼鉄、あれは和鉄ではございませんな。
That armor, it's not Yamato and steel, is it?
ええ、間違いありません。憂鬱鋼です。全身すべて。
There's no mistaking it. Woot steel. The whole machine is Woot steel? Really? That'd be hella expensive. Crux, Ultima Thule. As I recall, Woot steel is is that the pattern steel? That's pattern steel, isn't it? That is some really fancy shit. I believe that is the pattern. That is like steel with swirls in it, right? Maybe some fancy shit. That would be some fancy stuff. Because I believe that's how you get Damascus steel, right? You start with wood. I believe you start with wood steel to get Damascus steel, right? That is some nice stuff. That's some nice stuff. Expensive, but honestly, using steel is debatable. Wouldn't you want to use carbon fiber for everything? Carbon fiber or aluminum? I don't know what kind of stress the pieces are under, but aluminum should be really light and steel's still heavy. Then again, I don't know what metals they can make it out of, right? Surely you'd go with like aluminum though, right? For a lot of the body? I don't even know if actual planes use steel for all their fins, for all their wings. That said, cool idea. Okay. Ultimate
有
tool.
つ鋼って聞いたことあるけど、インドの鉄だろ？
I've heard of it. Isn't it
That's
really
called
expensive
Ginseigo.
Indian steel?
ええ、生産量がごく少ないのです。けれど重量飛強度に優れる有機鋼はレーサークルスの材料としてまさに理想的。
It's only smelted in very small quantities, but the extraordinary strength-to-weight ratio makes it ideal for racing cruxes.
これまではごく一部のハイエンドモデルが翼などの重要箇所にだけ用いておりました。その最高級鋼材をよもやここまで惜しみなく投入して剣を作るとは。
It's not unusual for high-end models to use it in the wings and other critical parts, but building an entire machine from it's absolutely unheard of. The mind boggles to consider the expense.
どうなるんだ？
What will this do for the crux?
すぐにわかる。
We'll soon see.
サー
Look,
キットを見ろ。
え？
something extraordinary is unfolding on the track. The golden-winged Krutz is flying down the straight, its speed no greater than that of the surrounding racers. However, it's flying at competitive speed within seconds of takeoff.
どういうことですこれ？
What does this mean? Insanely fast acceleration.
怪物がいるということだ。無論鳴らし運転を十分にこなしていたのだろうが。
It means a monster has joined the race. I imagine the pilot has a great deal of practice, but still.
異常という他はない加速性でございます。完全有機鋼性という特徴がもたらす常識外の軽量さであれを実現しているのでありましょう
My
か。
word, such rapid acceleration. This makes the benefits in all Wood's frame readily apparent, I say.
あの加速性は決勝レースで進化を発揮するはず。スタート直後の乱戦をあの威力で切り抜けて、あとはひたすらトップを走り続けるのでしょう。
We'll see it's true with tomorrow during the final race. With acceleration like that, it'll be able to break from the pack right out of the starting grid and take the top position unchallenged. If it wants to, or it might also just accelerate out of corners really, really well. I don't know if there's a lot of corners on this track, or if it's considered to be a corner-heavy track. We watch speechless, and we're not alone. The cheering spectators have fallen silent, every one of them entranced by the golden machine. And amid the unnatural silence, Shokyo's Ultima Thule, their ideal, dominates the track with the majesty of a king. 2, 3. As the laps mount up, the machine's terrifying power begins to reveal itself. Lap 5, 1 minute 26, 89. Lap 6, 1 minute 26, 44. Lap 7,
1分26秒27。
126, 27.
まだ走ってるけど、まだ記録は伸びるってことか。
Still flying. How low is the time it's going to get?
さよ、さっきのスーパーハウンドの記録はどうでしたかしら。
Sayo, what was Superhound's time?
1分27秒19でありましたかと。実に1秒近い差でございますね。
1 minute 27, 19. So it's getting close. Ooh, oh, it's blown past it. It's 126, 27. It's almost a full second up, like she said. I thought she meant like a second down or something, and I was like, oh, it's getting close? No, it's like a second ahead. 1 second in armor racing is an eternity. And that's the gap that exists between Ultima Thule and Yokotan's Superhound, the machine that, though in the hands of a European pilot, once conquered the world. And I see movement in the pit. Yokotan's crew is scrambling to get the racer back on the track. It's hopeless. And meaningless, moreover. Defeating Shokyo in the preliminary won't accomplish anything. They should just sit back and observe their rivals now that their entry in tomorrow's race is assured. Logic aside. However, I understand how the Yokotan team must feel. They must be panicking. Even if they're allies in the gambling dispute, I doubt Chokyo told them about their new design. Perhaps Yokotan was hoping to steal the crown and take control of the sport once gambling was legalized. They can't accept that their dream has been dashed to pieces.
荒っぽい走りですね。
The Yokotan racer looks kind of unsteady.
あれは早く引かせた方がいい。事故を起こすだけだ。
Yes, he should get off the course before he crashes.
昇降が下がっていきます。
Tokyo's pulling off.
13周で切り上げたようでございますね。
The
記
13th
録
lap.
は
Let's see the time. Here, the familiar din of the crowd finally returns. Cries of amazement go up from the stands as everyone looks to the scoreboard. 125.97, and if memory serves, that score is within a second of the record set by the reigning world champion when he was invited from Europe for the Kamakura Circuit's opening ceremonies. Chokyo's team has taken the lead, and with more than a full second separating them from the rest of the competition, might as well give him the cup now, I hear someone in the crowd mutter.
ですね。
Might as well, it's quite impressive.
はあ、これ
With
で
that
は
time. The Otori pair seems to be of the same opinion. Ichijo, meanwhile, frowns bitterly.
なんだよ。金で買ったようなもんじゃねえか。
It's a big deal. It's like they bought the race.
そうだな。
Rude.
だ
But
が
that's part of the sport.
レースはそういうものだ。金と、そして技術と、運と。それらの総合力で勝敗が決する。
And money that decides the victor.
どれか一つが抜きん出ていれば、他の面で劣っていても勝つことができる。
And if you have a significant advantage in one
資
of these
金面の
areas,
優位は特に有効である場合が多い
it's。still possible to win. Even if your showings in the other two are merely average, a financial advantage tends to be particularly effective. In fact, it seems to be the only one. Do you have any idea how much it costs to run a racing team? Holy shit. Those are not something you can just up and decide to run. Like, what's like tens of millions of dollars to run? Those are insanely expensive. For like a season. I don't remember what the budget of racing teams is in the real world. Ah, okay, here we go. That was easy. Help teams struggling as a result of COVID-19. The 2021 budget cap was set to 145 million for one season. So there you go. It's 145 million absolute minimum for to run a racing team for 1 year. That's how much money you need. You're not looking at like $10,000. You're looking at 100 million plus nasty stuff in real life. So financial advantage effective? Yeah, absolutely necessary. And Tsurugi are supposed to be even harder to get hold of.
すいません、港さん。私、やっぱりこの競技はあまり好きになれないかも。
Sorry, sir. I don't think armor racing's for me after all. Can't blame her. While the strength of Shokyo's Ultima is indeed awesome to behold, it also serves as a reminder of one of the disappointing realities of this sport. I feel much as Ichijo does right now. The Ultima is impressive, but I can't bring myself to respect it.
騎手の力量も相当なものではありますけどね。あれだけの加速力を有する機体、つまりはジャジャ馬を乗りこなしているのですから。
Not that the pilot's skill is anything to scoff at. Flying a machine that fast is like riding a wild horse. Yeah, it's the 40s after the war and still in a recovering economy, and Tsurugis are far more expensive than cars, absolutely. Although, since this is like professional or semi-professional racing, they're designing their cars from scratch. They're designing their car / Tsurugi from scratch anyway. Like, this isn't going to be anything you could ever, any civilian could ever get. Just like most racing cars are not street legal. Or, sorry, most, I mean all of them. Like, even NASCAR stuff isn't street legal. I mean, they look legal, but like, they don't even have headlights. they don't have most of the things you need to drive on the road.
車5とかいう名でしたか。 はて、あまり聞いたことがございませんが。
Muramasa, was it? I haven't heard that name.
草レースでは知られた男です。レーサー養成団体河津の穴を一人で叩き潰したほか、非公式に海外へ渡航して欧州の選手と戦ったこともあるとか。
He's known in underground racing circles. They say he single-handedly defeated the entire Kawazu no Ana racing school and even went overseas to battle European racers unofficially.
また怪しげな経歴ですこと。
That's a little hard to believe.
実力は確かに一級品です。
There's no denying his skill is top class.
だったらあんな金ピカの機体なんか使わないで実力で勝負すりゃいいのに。
And he should race fair and square instead of relying on the flashy golden hot rod. The ability to acquire a powerful machine is itself one facet of skill, but I know Ichijo doesn't want to hear that. In any case, I seem to share her disappointment. I must have desired Tamura's victory more than I myself knew, and now, having beheld Shokyo's power, I can't help but feel a certain hopelessness. I remember the girl polishing the ball bearing as though it were her father's own flesh and blood, which to her, it was. No doubt Shokyo has its reasons for what they do, reasons no less justifiable than Tamura's. Just because they're linked to Rokuhara doesn't mean they're evil. It just strongly suggests it, you know. If I'm to be honest with myself, I must admit that I want to see Tamura win. But he's right, it doesn't mean you are. You're just taking advantage of a bad situation. Speaking of which,
田村はどうしたのでしょうか。
where's Tamura?
そろそろ出てくるようでございますよ。ピットからスタッフが。
Looks like they're about to start. I can see their crew coming out on the track. Following Miss Nagakura's gaze, I see the crewmen taking the familiar Tamura logo working busily near the start of the line. One of them looks like Oji Suguru, though with the hat covering his face, it's impossible to be sure. As the loudspeakers announce the last major competitor, the spectators once again lift their voices in welcome. The cheering feels forced, however, like they're only doing it because they must. As far as the crowd's concerned, the race is already over. Even Shokyo's longtime rival can't excite them now. Team Tamura Armor Works, the Tamura Fighting Factory. The sight of the team working amidst the half-hearted applause is, quite frankly, pitiful, like watching a once legendary boxer struggle just to stay in the fight. But they do have a new frame, right?
登場が少し遅いですね。セッティングに手間取っていたのかしら。
They're later than expected. Did they have trouble with the final tuning?
どうでしょう。予選で小京と張り合う具を知り、避けたのかもしれませぬな。
If they realized it would be foolish to go head-to-head with Shokyo in the preliminary. Judging by the calm with which the crew goes about its tasks, Miss Nagakura's assessment is likely correct, in which case Tamura made the right decision. It would indeed have been foolish to go head-to-head with that monster today. Some pilots say that they fly faster when they have a strong opponent to race against. Still, there has to be a limit. If a tortoise and a hare go to the track, the tortoise isn't suddenly going to find the inner strength necessary to match the hare. Racer Oji Misao. Suddenly the cheering takes on genuine enthusiasm. Misao is something of an idol among Yamato and racing fans, with many drawn to the unique imbalance between her reserved demeanor and aggressive racing style. Older fans like myself also see in her the return of a childhood hero. Yet even her fame isn't enough to carry this crowd for long, as the cheering dies down as one by one the fans remember just how far from victory their heroine is. Isn't this a great moment to show off how fast you are, though? This could be your moment to blow the crowd away, if things go as well as you hope. And then she appears armored and ready, emerging into the fading echoes of her applause like a feeble ray of sunlight between thick clouds. At last, her father's creation is revealed. Prix. At that moment, the world seems to stop turning. All thoughts arrive at a single point, and in this instant of frozen time, each and every person mouths the same voiceless question. What is that? Oh, we got 3D CG. Nice. Not too bad. They picked a good color. Oh, that looks trippy. It's unlike any racing crux that has ever existed, private or corporate, Eastern or Western. A Tsurugi? That's a Tsurugi? Its appearance is twisted, unnatural. Staring at it, I feel like the earth starts to tilt beneath my feet. Madness. The man who built this is mad. I want to pinch my cheek to see if I'm dreaming, and yet, at the same time, another thought rises to form a precarious balance within me. It's beautiful. The machine is heart-wrenchingly beautiful. Its form is sleek and curved. What might emerge, perhaps, were a deranged mathematician to express pi in Tsurugi form. Add to that metallic blue paint, and you have a machine that calls to mind the fathomless sea and infinite sky. Was it truly fashioned by the hands of men? Its beauty seems almost profane, the product of some strange world governed by unknown laws. And yet here it stands in ours. Prix, Avenger. What's that?
わからん。
I have no idea.
あれは本当に田村の機体なのかしら。ホットボルトの系統とは全く根本の構造からして違うとしか考えられません。
Is that truly a Tamura model? It looks like it was based on completely different principles in the hot bolt line.
ホットボルトからスーパーボルト、チャクラム、そしてサンダーボルトと積み重ねてきた技術財産をほとんど無視しておりますね。あれは本当に走るのでしょうか。
Tamura spent decades perfecting their design philosophy from hot bolt to super bolt to chakram and thunderbolt. But this design, it throws all that work out the window. Will it really fly?
どうでしょう。田村始まって以来の打作になるかもしれません。その可能性はあります。
Time to show off,
戦
right?
争を声高に言っているものも社内にはいますよ。
I wonder it might just be the biggest piece of junk we've ever produced. At least that's what much of the company thinks. Now that I see his design firsthand, I can't help but sympathize with his detractors. Surely no sane man could fathom the purpose of this machine. The purpose is probably to win a race instead of be a Tsurugi.
影明様
Pardon?
あの機体はまさしく異様です。他に言葉が見つかりません。しかし、強烈な思想性を感じます。
There's no question the machine is unnatural, monstrous even. However, I feel a definite purpose behind its design.
素人がデタラメに組んだだけなのであれば、ああはならないでしょう。
A machine that was thrown together haphazardly would not look like that.
同感でございます。何と申しましょうか。あの機体はあれだけ常識を無視したデザインをなされているにもかかわらず、まとまりがあると。
However it may appear, there does seem to be, how do I put this, a method to its madness?
そうですね。あの姿には明確で攻撃的な表現、激しい主張があるように
I know what you
私にも
mean.
見
It
え
feels
ます。
like it's trying to make a statement, and a very aggressive statement at that. There's no other way to explain its beauty. It's not the natural splendor of a mountaintop honed by eons of wind and rain. It's quite the opposite. It's as though a sculptor consumed by blind faith in his own ability took a lump of dull gray rock, hammered, carved, and chiseled until by some miracle he transformed it into a shining gemstone, the embodiment of his mad vision. It's art driven by a singular purpose, a singular obsession.
その主張はど
What's
う
it
いう
trying to say? It's blue, so it's probably gotta go fast. There's no way to answer without seeing it fly. I direct my attention to the racetrack where Avenger is about to begin its run. The blue machine takes off from the starting line and glides quietly down the home straight. Quietly? It accelerates at a perfectly average rate, enters the first corner at a perfectly normal speed. This corner is fairly shallow. It shouldn't require much deceleration. What? Well,
はて、
今なんかバタバタしてなかったか。
doesn't it seem kind of wobbly?
ええ、まだ機体に慣れていないのかもしれません。
Maybe she's just not used to the machine. After another short straight, Avenger makes the second curve at an easy speed. It's not unusual for a first lap. If it seems slow, it's only because Shokyo's Ultima was too fast. Next is a long bank turn. She takes it gently.
攻めませんね。
She's not hitting the corners at all.
まあ1周目でございますし。
Still the first lap. So far, the machine's done nothing to live up to its outrageous design. In the crowd, disappointment wars with anticipation of what might come in the next lap. As my own amazement recedes, I recall my true purpose here.
村正、俺は
Muramasa, is that?
違う。
No.
確かか。
You're certain?
怪しい部分は何もなし。相変わらず銀星号の気配は感じるけれど、
There's nothing.
あれとは関わりないようね。
I still sense Ginseigo's signature in the area, but it's not coming from that Tsurugi.
そうか。
Understood. To be honest, it comes as something of a shock. Instinct was telling me that it had to be that machine. The mad passion evident at the core of its design seems like the sort of thing that would interest Ginseigo. I mean, I'm saying none of the above was probably the easiest answer.
ではウルティマはどうだった？黄金色の翼を持っていた機体だ。
What about Ultima, the machine with golden wings that came out earlier? No.
同じく何もなしよ。今日これまでに見たものは全部白。
Every machine that's been out today is clean.
これからまだ出てくるの？
Will there be more?
いや、
No, this
そろそ
should
ろ
be
打ち止
it.
めのはずだわ。
The Tsurugi would be faster if it was red, of course. The red ones always go faster. What does that mean? It's not Tamura, it's not Shokyo, and not any of the other racers? Wow, we came to the conclusion, we came to, Sorry, how long did it take us to come to the conclusion that it was none of the above? Like 2 seconds? I know it's an easy conclusion to draw, because they weren't immediately introduced. We weren't immediately introduced to them, but still. It's kind of funny to be like, it's probably the Rokuhara rep stuff. Oh well. That's why it's a cliche. None of the above is the answer. An easy answer and a cliched one, but hey, sometimes you just gotta fall back on that cliche, right? I scan the course. Every machine participating in the preliminary is there or was there earlier. I'm certain that Tamura is the last of the teams. In which case... It bounced? What? I gape in astonishment at what I witnessed. All question of the egg's whereabouts has fled my mind. Upon entering the first hairpin, Tamura's Avenger did indeed appear to bounce, a phenomenon that occurs when a machine is unable to overcome the wind resistance generated by the speed of its turn. Rather than cling to the inner curve, the Tsurugi was pushed to the edge of the track, its tail end sticking up in the air like a drunken dancer. A significant time loss. Such clumsy cornering bears no trace of the technique that made Oji Suguru a legend. At first I was worried she was understeering.
リバースオーバーでしたね。よくあのまま横転しなかったものとは思いますけれど。
She actually oversteered. I'm honestly impressed the machine didn't flip over. A piece of junk. I can't help but judge it so, though I keep the thought to myself out of respect for the OG pair. Groans and shouts of dismay can be heard in the crowd. No doubt more than a few fans hoped that Tamura's new design would be able to challenge Shokyo's. Here and there, spectators rise from their seats, frustration plain on their faces. Though the guests in the VIP section are particularly quick to make their departure, the same sentiment is slowly spreading through the entire stadium. There's nothing more to see here today.
何よあのみっともない機体。あんなものをマロのレースで走らせるつもりなの田村は。
What was that? How dare Tamura enter such a horrid machine in my race?
許せないわね。美意識には反するけど、ひねり潰してやろうかしら。
Except it would it be in poor taste to have it destroyed?
ぜひにもそうなさるべきです。
Not at all, my lord.
来庁夫人とお呼びなさい。
How many times do I have to tell you to call me your beauteousness? This guy's also here. Alright. Wasn't this guy... Weren't we just roasting this guy for his sheer incompetence like 2 scenes ago? Alright. And there's Chashamaru here too. Yeah, Dragmore.
申し訳ありません。来庁夫人。実は召喚。かねてより小京兵長に比べ報告の志が薄く、自社の利益追求ばかりに熱心な田村工業のことを苦々しく思っておりました。
I beg your pardon, your beauteousness. To be honest, I've always been disgusted by Tamura's single-minded pursuit of profit. Unlike Shokyo, they seem to have no desire to serve the nation.
そこへ来て中将。来庁夫人を侮るがごときこの振る舞い。もはや断固たる処置のほかはなしと存じます。
And now, this insulting display before my lord... the great and beautiful Raicho. I believe it's high time they were dealt with.
そうね。あなたの義弟の願いを聞き入れてやることにしましょうか、大久保。
Maybe so. Should we let your brother-in-law have his way then, Okubo? That is your...
まあまあまあ、落ち着けよカニカマ。
Oh, settle down, Crabstick.
誰がどうしたカニカマよ。
Who are you calling a
つ
Crabstick?
まんねえことはやめとけって。ただでさえ下品な顔がもっと下品になっちまうから。
Don't do anything crass, okay? It'll just make you even uglier inside and out.
まあ、嫌だろ。今以上に品が下がるなんてさ。
I mean, seriously? You don't want to get any uglier, right?
真剣に心配してる面で何言うのよこのガキは。マルの顔のどこが下品なの。もう一度よく見てから言って
Clearly
なさい。
someone's stepping on a nerve. Or is this man just made entirely of nerves? I can't tell. Don't think for a second I actually believe you're concerned about me, you little cretin. Me, ugly? Take a good look. Then try saying that again.
カラカラ。旗で見てる分には愉快だよなこいつ。間違っても友達にはなりたくないけどね。
Honor Katakata. I've heard that one before. I've heard that one before. A certain divine Tengu. from Fate. Interesting. Ichi Hoken, hello? Anyway, gotta say, you know how to keep a girl entertained. Wouldn't want to keep you as a friend, though. That's fine with me. Oh, you mean that?
恐れながら堀越公我が主君に対しあまりに礼を欠く言動は加えて指図するかのごときなさりをもどうかお控えいただきたく
I'd ask you to please refrain from speaking to my legion in such an insulting and critical manner. Huh?
だよね。しんどく
Wanna die?
ご無礼いたしました平にご容赦を
My apologies, please forgive my impertinence.
大久保下がっていなさい
Leave us, Okubo.
田村のあれなかなか面白い機体じゃん。当てはいいと思うよ。
Anyway, give Tamura a chance. You ask me, I think that crux looks pretty hot.
どこ
You
が
gotta be joking.
いやあれは本当に面白いって。
No, really, I think things are about to get interesting. The preliminary is almost over. Teams are beginning to return to their paddocks and the crowd's lost all enthusiasm. The fact that they're spending so long on this scene tells me it's not just going to be a boring scene. There's going to be something exciting. Each team's best lap is displayed on the large screen above the track. This late in the day, there's unlikely to be much change in the rankings. Tokyo's Ultima is in the lead, of course. In second place is Semiworks' RG10. And as usual, Tsurugi manufacturers are dominant. After RG10 is Ryokutan's Superhound, followed by Hirago, Kamakura Matsui, and Gecko Armorworks. The rest are a mix of smaller corporations and private teams, separated from each other by milliseconds at most. Hamura is among them. The police team is 14th, not bad considering, which is why I don't understand why their hot bolt is still on the track. The starting positions for tomorrow's race are determined by today's rankings, so it's understandable they might want to cut down their time. Still, it seems rather reckless to continue after securing a place in the final. What if they have an accident? It's about time for them to pull out, if you ask me.
田村がスピードを落としましたね。
Looks like Tamura is slowing
あれ
down.
本当ピットインするつもりかしら。
You're right. Is she heading for the pit? Doesn't seem necessary. I follow their gaze to see Tamura's Avenger completing the final turn. At a glance, it's obvious its speed would indeed lower. It's indeed lower than one would expect for that turn. It would be natural to assume that she intends to make a pit stop if she hadn't already made one this race. In a prolonged race, multiple pit stops are required in order to refuel the Crux's afterburners. In the comparatively brief preliminary, however, one should be all you need. Could Avenger have sustained some internal damage? As I watch the blue machine passes the pit. It glides softly into the main straight and then it explodes. For an instant, I'm convinced that the machine's highly flammable afterburner fuel has ignited in a massive fireball scattering flesh and steel across the track. But it's only an illusion, a vision of death and destruction forced into my mind by the deafening roar of the Tsurugi's engines. In truth, there is only light. A beam of metallic blue light blazes down the main straight like a comet. There we go.
Mitsuo!
There's no time to speak. Surely there must be some intelligent response to a 140-kilometer fastball turning into a bullet before your eyes. Before I can divine what it is, the blue flashes reach the first corner. Air brakes. No, it's too fast. Nothing can turn at that speed. It's gonna crash. It crushes the turn, plowing through with brute force.
そんなアホな。
お嬢様、お下品でございますよ。
Language?
普通空中分解とかしないか今の。
The stress tear it apart or something? The turn is appalling, with no heed paid to balance or efficiency, but it worked. She turns at that speed, and it's no fluke. I realize, as before my eyes, the relentless charge continues. S-curve, shallow bank, 130R. Tamura's Avenger smashes through each obstacle without anything that even approaches proper deceleration. Has there ever been a racer as crude and ugly, as fast as this? No, at least not in this world. What can this be then but a demon straight from hell? Avenger goes screaming into the back straight, and then clears it before I have time to blink, let alone draw breath. Next is the spoon curve. It powers through. The curve has crushed the pride of every challenger thus far, forcing them to prostrate themselves before before it should they seek the right to pass. Yet even its august majesty cannot daunt the usurper laying waste to the track now. Mochi Masao takes the turn unheeding and leaves it broken and beaten behind her. This is no longer a race, it's a conquest, an exercise of pure force, pure violence.
これだこれだこれを作りたかった
This is what I wanted to build.
これを作りたかったんだ
This is what I wanted to build.
これなら超えられるぞ
We can do it.
世界を超えられる
We could conquer the world.
ウイングが変動している。
Its wings are shifting.
態度の
Captain?
動いています。あのリアウイングはコーナーへ入るときに
The rear wings. They shift as it enters each corner.
あれが機体を押し流そうとする気流を叩き伏せているのです。おそらく
It's deflecting the airflow that would otherwise push the machine off course. That's how it looks to me, at least.
そういえば耳にしたことがあります。
I've heard of such a design,
可
actually.
変式ウイングマウントという構想を実用化する人間がいるとは思いませんでしたが
Movable wing mounts have been dreamt up before, but I never thought anyone would actually implement them.
パワー過剰の中枢設計、流線形の鋼鉄、低角度のダンパー、可変式ウイング。
An overpowered engine, streamlined frame, low-angle dampers, movable
結
wings.
果は直線におけるスコーチと曲がればいいという程度のコーナリング。むちゃくちゃな機体でございますね。
A machine that can utterly dominate the straights while maintaining the barest minimum of cornering ability. I'm amazed anyone came up with the idea.
しかし確かに思想はありました。
I was right. There was a purpose.
ええ、私にもわかります。あの
Even
機
I
体
can
が
tell
言い
what
た
the
いこと
machine
は
wants to say. Avenger bursts for the last corner, streaming down the home straight and crosses the finish line. It's time.
早ければいい。それだけなんだ。
Speed is
それだけしか
everything.
考えてないんだ。
Nothing else matters. 126.08, second place in a single bound. Tamura's Avenger has put itself within striking distance of Shokyo's Ultima.
どうよ。
Well,
まあいいわこれで明日の決勝も楽しくなりそうだものね
at least tomorrow's final won't be boring.
マロの大会に花が添えられるのは喜ばしいわ田村の健闘を叩いてあげましょう
Anything that makes my race more glorious deserves praise. Let's hope Tamura outdo themselves tomorrow.
いかんな予想外だ
This wasn't in the plan. Hey, look! A hint that someone in the military is planning something.
どうしました？
What's wrong? As the crowd goes wild around us, something catches my eye near the hairpin turn on the far side of the track.
事故か
An accident.
煙が上がっておりますね。サンドトラップに突っ込みましたか。
I see smoke. Did they run
さ
into a
ほ
sand
ど
trap?
の大事ではないようです
Doesn't
が
look。too bad.
あら
お嬢様
Mistress?
対何か
Is something the matter, Captain?
影明様
That's...
はい
Yes?
ポリスチームです。
That's the police team.
いかがですか
How's it look?
どうにもならんね。田村さんに持って行って修理してもらうことにはここじゃどうしようもない。
It's shot, replies the mechanic who is inspecting the damaged hot bolt. His answer is about what I expected. We'd need a Tamura repair crew to fix this. Around us, the other team members mill about purposelessly. No one seems suspicious of us. Still have heard from the commissioner we're here on an investigation. Even if we're complete strangers, though, I doubt anyone would work up the willpower to throw us out. Not after climbing to 11th place, only to get greedy and lose their chance to compete in tomorrow's final. Oof. That's a big oof. You made it to top 20, and then you lose. Damn. Your machine's fucked. It sucks. An air of dejection permeates the garage, and the team leader announces they'll be leaving after they eat, to which the crew responds listlessly. It fucking sucks, but it does happen. This presents something of a problem, a personal one, though I do sympathize with the team's loss. We haven't yet located the infected Tsurugi, which means it must be among the spare machines that have not run on the track. Otherwise, I can only assume the enemy is somehow concealing its true nature from Muramasa. Muramasa assures me it's impossible, but then that's what I would have said about an invisible, undetectable Tsurugi before I faced Fuma Kotaro the other day. That villainous creature successfully pulled the wool over our eyes, and there's no guarantee our current opponent is any less resourceful. Muramasa will never admit, of course, that she might fail to recognize the enemy she was forged to destroy, but we don't have the luxury of indulging her pride. That said, for now it does seem too appropriate to prioritize any Tsurugi we haven't checked. Teams with a surplus of funding usually have a spare crux and racer on hand in case of accidents. The egg might well be found with one of these pairs. If the police team leaves now, it'll throw a wrench into our plans, and we need them to justify our presence here.
T クルスで参戦という選択肢はないのですか?
Do you participate in a training, Crux?
いや、持ってきてないよ。うちの練習切ったらあれだもの。田村のアーマージャンプ。あんな骨董品いくらなんでもこの大会には出せないでしょ。
We didn't bring ours. It's the Tamura armor champ, for God's sake. There's no way we can send an antique like that out onto the track. Kageaki just sitting there like, oh, they don't have a frame. What to do? What to do? True, a mechanic of that vintage would serve only to draw the crowd's laughter. Chokyo's Scorpio, widely regarded as a masterpiece, is about the only crux from that era that could still put up a fight. It looks like a police team has no choice but to leave. I could ask them to come up with a reason to stay, but they wouldn't appreciate it. Defeated teams are traditionally expected to make a graceful exit. I'll have to find another way.
Minato-san, 食事調達してきました。
I brought food.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
あら、ご苦労様。
Oh, wonderful.
お茶まであるなんて行き届いたこと。
細やかな気配りでございます。さすがは屋根様。
誰もお前らの分があるなんて言ってねえんだけどな。
Who said I got you two any? Well,
まあいいや。ほら。
Gotta make sure people thank us. Ichijo hands us onigiri and canned tea, which I assume came from the racetrack store. It's hardly a feast, but it's quick and simple, exactly what we need right now. Thoughtful, indeed. I'll expense it later, I decide, while unwrapping one of the onigiri.
そういや、なんか変な連中がいたな。
By the way, there were some strange men roaming the hallways.
変？
Rain?
というと、ストリーキング集団ですかしら。
You mean like streakers?
それは迷惑でございますね。
そういう方向じゃない。なんか物騒っつうか。
No, that's not
さ
what
っ
I
き
mean
だ
by
った
strange.
奴らがその辺をうろうろしてて。
They seemed kinda dangerous, like they were out for blood.
でも態度は何気なさそうなんだよな。それが余計に怪しいっつうか。
Like it was business as usual, part of why I thought they were suspicious.
気にしすぎではありませんの？今はレースの最中なんですもの。参加者は誰しも殺気立ってましたよ。
Be sure you're not overthinking it. We're in the middle of a Grand Prix. Just about everyone's out for blood. I mean, I guess
ま
you do have
あ
a
そうなん
point.
だろうけどさ。
敗退したチームが勝ち残ったチームに嫌がらせでもしようとしているのかもしれません。なんとも情けない話でございますが、これがありえない話でも珍しい話でもなく。
The defeated team might be looking to cause trouble for one of their victorious rivals. It's rather pathetic, but it happens.
でも、ヤマトではあまり聞きませんね。国民性の違いというものでしょうか。
Must be a cultural thing anyway, dear.
はい、態度の。
Yes, Captain.
これからどうなさいますの？
What do we do now? Ignoring the clue Ichijo gave you?
自分もそれを考えていたところでした。
I was considering that very question.
私たちポリスチームの人間ってことになってるんですよね。この人たちが帰ると私たちがここにいる理由もなくなっちゃうわけですか？
We're supposed to be police team members, right? If they leave, don't we lose our reason to stay?
そういうことになる。事前に想定はしていた事態だ。
Exactly, I knew this might happen.
今日中
But I
に
was
標
also
的を発見して、
optimistic
今日中に決着をつければ良いだ
that
け
we
の
would locate
話
the
だと
target
考
today
え
and
て
be
いた。
done with it.
この目論みはすでに崩壊している。不覚にも本予選が終了した現時点において、
It
未
turned
だ
out to be
敵の
an
特定に至ってい
unrealistic
ない。
expectation. Much to my
決
surprise, the
着には今
preliminary.
夜中
Are we still
央、あ
going?
るいは明日まで要する。
Much to my surprise, the preliminary has ended without any sign of the enemy. We'll need tonight and possibly tomorrow to complete the mission.
従って、もうしばらくこの参加者専用の区画にとどまるための名目が必要だ。
It'll be necessary for us to retain access to the racers' quarter.
意外に難題ではないかしら。決勝前ともなれば皆さんピリピリしていらっしゃるでしょうし、そうなるといい加減な嘘は通用しそうにありません。
Might be difficult. Everyone's going to be on edge for the final. I doubt we can just bluff our way through.
スタッフをよく観察してあわよくば予備用の剣まで見せていただこうというのですからね。
Especially if we're to
れっ
observe
き
their
とした
staff
立
and
場が
have
欲
to
し
see
い
their
ところで
spare
ございま
cruxes.
す。
We need a solid background.
全くに。 その意味でポリスチームの人間という立場は理想的だったのですが、
Affiliating ourselves with the police team was the ideal solution.
参加者なので行動はほぼ自由。加えるに優勝を狙える強豪というわけでもなく、他のチームの警戒心もさほどには刺激しませ
As
ん。
participants, we have nearly unrestricted freedom of movement, and as we're not contenders for the crown, other teams don't consider us a threat.
まことその通りでございますね。どうにかしてここな警察の方々に明日の決勝へ参戦していただく方法はないものでしょうか。
Be ashamed to give that up. Is there no way to ensure the police team competes in tomorrow's final?
気合と根性と、あと努力と友情で何とかしてもらう？
Can this be solved with spirit, guts, hard work, and friendship?
現実的ではないな。却
Not
下。
likely. Let's try a more realistic approach.
困りましたね。
It's quite the dilemma.
なーに、簡単簡単。お兄さんが出ればいいんだにゃ。
Simple, you compete. I turn to see a striking boy or girl grinning up at me. The crew members stare at the newcomer, but no one says a word. The VIP badge on her shoulder demands some sort of welcome, but they have yet to recover from the shock of her arrival. She doesn't seem to mind. It's almost like we knew Chachamaru would somehow be involved.
失礼。来賓の方とお見受けいたしますが、ご紹介をいただいてもよろしくありましょうか。
Honored to have a VIP visit our garage. If you don't mind, could we please have your name?
自分は港影明と申します。
I'm Minato Kageaki. Why does this guy not operate under an alias?
苦しゅうない。あちしは弾丸ライガーを名乗るしがない荒野の放浪者といった風情のものである。
Jeez, no need for formalities. I'm Bullet Liger. You could say I'm a wanderer in this wasteland we call life. Interesting, she introduced herself as Dangan Liger, but they translated the bullet part. Interesting, because Danganronpa, they didn't translate the bullet part. Curious. I guess they thought Bullet Liger was better. Dangan Liger is also a weird name, but you know, no complaints.
ライガーと呼ぶがよい。
You may call me Liger.
了解しました、ライガーさん。
A pleasure to meet you, Miss Liger.
ライガー？
Liger. Otori's just like, press X to doubt.
ああ、そっちはお兄さんの連れか。じゃああんたらにも改めまして自己紹介を。
Oh, you three must be his lackeys. Let me get your names too.
ああ。
Right, I'm...
私はと思ったけど、まあいいあたりし。ぶっちゃけ前視点だと君らまとめてその他大勢1パック30円くらいの商品なのでかなり本気でどうでもいい。
Actually, forget it. From where I'm standing, the rest could view a bargain bin tier. You know, about 30 yen a pack. You'll have to excuse me if I don't give a rat's ass who you are.
というわけで、
Moving on.
港さん、ヤニワにすっげえムカつきます、こいつ。
So I think I'm about to burst a blood
我
vessel.
慢しろ。
Contain yourself. What else can I say? Liger strides up to the damaged crux. The mechanic scurries to get out of her way, but she pays him no mind. He places her hand on the armor and raps it once with her knuckles, pressing her ear against the fuselage.
ああ、ダメだねこりゃ。
Yeah, he's done
お
for.
分かりですか。
You can tell?
さすがやられてる。あとシャフトがひん曲がってて、駆動系のギアが1個脱落。って思われたな。
The suspension is shot. You also got a bent drive shaft, a loose gear, and a cracked differential. Your car's fucked. That's a lot of work to fix. I guess you could replace all of it, maybe, in a day? The mechanic gapes, and no wonder. She just summed up the very report he made a few minutes ago. The girl only needs a second to reach the same conclusion as a seasoned professional.
ご推願です。我々も先ほどメーカー修理に出さねばどうにもなるまいと結論しておりました。
Most perceptive. We were just discussing how we'll need to send it to the maker for repairs. You can't replace those parts? You have a dedicated mechanic and repair team, and you can't do that?
んにゃ、出してもダメだよ。
Sorry, that's not gonna cut it.
とは、
What do you mean?
中枢のフレームが歪んでる。これはどう頑張っても直せない。
The central frame is warped. There's no way to fix it.
もう年なのさ。これレーサークルスとしてはありえねえくらい大事に長く使い続けてきたんだろ。
His age just caught up with him. I can tell he's been in service for a goddamn eternity. Y'all really took good care of him, hmm?
そこまでお分かりになるのですか。
You can tell her touch, almost like she planned this. She planned this part, maybe.
ライガーですから。 触っただけじゃわからんけどね。音を聞けば大体のとこは見えてしまうのです。
The Liger 4. Actually, I can't tell much with the touch. If I listen, though, I can see just about anything.
音
Listen. I'm not sure what to make of this statement, and the crew members within earshot also appear thoroughly confused.
つうわけでさ、こいつもう休ませてやってくんない？これ以上無理に使うと背骨がボキッといっちゃうから。
Push him harder, and he's gonna snap in half.
ほ
I see.
お疲れ、兄弟。
Sleep well, brother. He plants a soft kiss on the Crux's helmet and walks back to us, leaving the flabbergasted crewman behind.
お兄さん、
Anyway, big bro?
はい
Bro? Yeah?
当ての言いたいことは分かってると思う。
I think you know what I'm getting at.
わかりません
Afraid not.
よろしい。人は常に自分の知性に対して謙虚でなくてはならないのだ。その謙虚さを持つ人間だけが契約金0円という売り文句に騙されなくて済むゆえに。
Good. You should never put too much faith in your own intelligence. A man who thinks himself foolish will never exercise poor judgment just because they told him no sign-up fee.
つまり、お兄さんは月々の使用料や解約手数料をちゃんと確認するだけの慎重さを示したと
What
言
a
えよ
weird
う。
metaphor, but
これ
alright.
は当てにとって大変喜ばしいことである。
In other words, you've just proven yourself careful enough to check the monthly usage and cancellation fees before signing up. This pleases me immensely.
恐縮です
I'm honored.
通じ合ってるのか。
Are they making
この
sense
会
to
話。
each other?
当のご本人方が気にしていないのなら、まあ問題はないのではありますまいか
But
と
they。seem content to carry on in this way. Let's not butt in.
だが戦士よ、その謙虚さを臆病さにつなげることなかれ。なぜなら好奇心は猫を殺し、寂しさはウサギを殺し、臆病さはライオンを殺す。
And yet, warrior, let not your modesty lead you into cowardice. Remember that while curiosity killed the cat, and loneliness the rabbit, it was cowardice that slew the lion. But I thought the cat also was able to resurrect itself thanks to satisfaction. For all it, curiosity killed it, but satisfaction brought it back. It's not over.
緑色の都でもらえる 100% 有機汁でどうにかなる問題ではない。あれはプラシーボ。つうか本物だったらもっとダメだ、多分法的に。よって当ては告げねばならぬ。港影焼き。
This is not a problem that can be solved with 100% liquid courage you can find in Emerald City. That's just a placebo. Besides, if it were real, we'd have a serious drug problem on our hands. So heed my words, Minato Kageaki.
はい
Okay.
運命の時は来た。
The moment of fate has come. I see. Earlier than I
今
expected.
こそ戦いの荒海へ乗り出すべし。必要な力は当てが用意する。
It's time you took to the storm-tossed seas of battle. I will grant you the means to realize your destiny.
力
Realize my destiny?
そっちの声だけ聞いてどうするの。魂言語はサラウンドだったりすることが多いからちゃんと全部聞きなさい。今のは剣と書いて力と読む感じの表現なのです。
I mean, I'll give you a tsurugi, you big dummy. Haven't you ever heard of a figure of speech?
なるほど
Understood.
つまり
What are you
どう
saying
いうこと
exactly?
ですか
レースでない？
Want a race?
は
Ah. That's what she was getting at.
当てがクルスを用意する。お兄さんがそれを使って出場する。
I provide the tsurugi, you use it to race.
そうすればポリスチームはリタイア戦で済むってことですね。
In that way, the police team won't need to retire. Hey, look, it's a tsurugi we haven't seen before. Being provided by...
疑問が多々ありますがまず一つ正規の騎士を差し置いて自分が出る理
I see
由があり
several
ません
problems with this scenario. First, there's no reason for me to fly instead of the team's designated racer. The police team only has one pilot, the same who crashed in the preliminary. His injuries, while not negligible, are nothing compared to the damage sustained by the tsurugi. He can still race.
怪我人は寝かせとく方向でどうよ。だいたい万全の走りができる状態じゃないんじゃない？体は平気でも中身はわからないよ。事故った直後のレーサーってのは。
Like, even if his injuries are nothing serious, he still might not be in any shape to race, you know? Pilots tend to be a bit shaky after they've had a crash.
それは確かにそうですしか
That's
し
true.
そもそもレーサーではない自分よ
But
り
I'm
は
not even an armor racer.
あれ？お兄さんレーサーじゃないの？
Oh, you're
当
not?
ては
I
てっ
was
き
sure
り
you
ポ
were
リ
the
スの
team
セカンドレー
backup.
サーだとばっかり思ってたんだけど、その筋肉のつき方、水泳選手によく似たバランスで要所要所の太さがちょっと違う。
It's the shape of your body. You gotta build like a swimmer with muscles in just the right places. Yeah, but he's a cop. He needs to be fit, ideally. Is it you? Do you sound like Nero? Not the same, but similar? A little bit like Nero, for sure. The way she talks when she's excited. I can totally hear it.
剣使いにしか見えないんだけどにゃ。
You look like a tsurugi pilot to little Omi. It's not surprising she'd be familiar with the peculiar physical attributes tsurugi pilots possess. given she just demonstrated an intimate familiarity with Tsurugi themselves. I merely spoke the truth about my not being a racer, but it would be foolish to deny it further. How would I then explain sharing those attributes? I must proceed with caution here.
レーサーではありませんが、過去にその真似事のようなことをしていた経験はあります。
Good phrasing, good phrasing. I'm not a racer, but I've had experience flying racing trucks in the past.
ほうほう。どっかの会社でテストユーザーでもやってた？
Oh, you were like a test pilot or something?
はい。甲府のとある企業がレースへの参入を企画した際に雇われて、結局その企業の経営悪化で企画は頓挫したのですが。
I was hired by a company in Kofu that was planning its racing debut, but unfortunately they were forced to abandon those plans after falling on hard times.
小規模のレースになら数度参加しました。
Was able to participate in a few minor races before things went south. It's not a lie, though I embellished it somewhat. In the summer of last year, my pursuit of Ginseigo led me to infiltrate such a company as a test pilot.
なんだ。じゃあ何も問題ないね。
いえ、非常に多く存在します。
There are many problems. First, Tsurugi is
当てが用意するってばさ。個人的に作らせたサンダーボルトのハイチューン、その名もテラブリンガー。4翼ダンパーにフルベア仕様のけなぎに成長した可愛い子よ。
I said I'd take care of that. I got a Thunderbolt I tuned myself. Name's Terrorbringer. Four-wing dampers and full bearings. You couldn't ask for a sweeter ride.
あのアベンジとかいう無茶苦茶な新型さえ出てこなけりゃ、田村の主役になっていたかもしれないんですよ。
If not for that crazy Avenger thing stealing the show, she might have been Tamura's ace in the hole.
Huh.
I see. That was the plan then. For Tamura to be in trouble and to get offered this Thunderbolt. And is this Thunderbolt the Thunderbolt the Tsurugi we've been looking for? She seems to have mixed feelings about it.
そいつを貸し出すからさ、これでいいでしょ？
Lend it to you. Problem solved. Did they sabotage the police suit then, or are they just lucky that their plan didn't fall to shit when Tamura didn't fall apart?
しかし、自分には保証金を支払う能力が。
I'm afraid I haven't the means to pay for insurance.
いらないそんなの。好きに使って好きにぶっ壊してくれりゃいい
Don't
か
worry
ら。
about it. You can use it, break it, it's all good. Speaks of setting fire to a veritable ocean of money. Her family must be quite wealthy. It's almost like she's like a Rokuhara in general.
そもそも自分は騎手として登録されておりません
I'm
の
not
で。
even registered as a racer.
どうにかするよ、今夜のうちに。
We'll take care of that tonight. Speaks of imposing her will on the racing commission with all the grace and subtlety of a sledgehammer. Her family must be quite influential as well.
バンジオッケー。
We good?
お待ちくださいまし。私からも少々構いませんかしら。
A moment, please. I have a question if you don't mind. Captain Notori speaks up just as I'm searching for a reply. There's something strange about her expression and about the distance she keeps from Liger, as though she's trying to put an invisible barrier up between them. Come to think of it, she hasn't said a word since the girl appeared. Such pronounced reticence is unlike her.
何かな、全く面識のないお姉さん。
Might it be a lady I've never seen before in my life?
ごく簡単なことです、ライガーさん。どうしてそこまで肩入れなさいますの？
Simple question, Miss Liger. Why would she go so far to help us? Is it just my imagination that her question too seems to carry certain overtones? Either way, the girl shows no sign she's detected any veiled meaning in the captain's words.
そりゃポリスチームにリタイアされたくないから決まってんじゃん。
They don't want the police team to retire, of course.
この大会、小京と田村の争いが、つまりはアーマーレース賭博家推進派と反対派の争いだっつうことについては、今さらくだくだしい説明なんていらんよね。
I mean, this race is a showdown between Shokyo and Tamura. In other words, between those for and against legalized gambling, but you knew that already, don't you?
はい。
Yes.
で、当ては反対派。当ての周りには賛成派の連中もいるけどね。まあ、知ったこっちゃない。
Well, I'm against. Can't say the same for some of my colleagues, but the hell with them, right?
せっかくのレースを金臭いもんにしたくないこっちとしちゃ、反対派に勝ってもらわんと困るわけでありますよ。
I don't want
と
armor
ころ
racing
が
to be
決
all about
勝
the
進
money.
出20チームを見てみると、
Which means I need an against team to win. I'm just thinking in my head, she literally is throwing money at a problem to make the thing not about money. Alright.
反対派って呼べるのは2位の田村と11位のポリスだけ。あとはみんな推進派か、出なけりゃ中立。これでポリスまで抜けたら完全孤立だ。
Fortunately, out of the 20 teams in tomorrow's final, only Tamura in second place and the police team in 11th are openly against. Everyone else is either for or neutral. Cops can't support gambling, of course, so that makes you Tamura's only ally.
立場上賭博家に賛成するわけにはいかない警察だけが田村の唯一の味方だったってのにさ、手こ入れしたくもなろうってもんでしょ。
So if you drop out, that leaves them all out there. You can see why I'd want to give you a hand.
なんでさ、要は田村がトップを取ればいいんだろ。仲間がいるかどうかなんてそんなに重要なことか。
Why, all you need is for Tamura to win, right? What difference does it make who else is out there with them? A good question. Liger lifts her hands to the height of her shoulders, palms held facing the ceiling before proceeding to shake her head back and forth. She finishes off with a snort and a condescending gaze from a 30-degree up angle.
港さん、私こいつと同じ天の下で生きていく自信がありません。
I don't think this planet's big enough for the both of us.
耐えろ。
Well, your anger. What else can I say?
レースは個人競技だが、それは栄誉を受けるのが首位ただ一機だけだからであって、その点を度外視すれば集団戦にしてしまうことも可能だ。
Racing is an individual sport in the sense only one competitor may claim the prize. However, if you set that aside, it's possible to make it a team sport of sorts.
例えば、ライバルとなり得る機体を仲間に囲ませて動きを封じ、その間に自分は悠々とトップを奪うというように。
For example, you can have your allies surround a rival and impede his movements, thereby eliminating any threat to your lead.
それって反則にならないんですか？
Isn't that against the rules?
無論、露骨な機構妨害は反則になる。
Of
だ
course.
がそれは露骨でなければ良いということでもあるし、
Any obvious interference is illegal, but there are ways to make it not
そも
obvious.
そも自分の勝敗を無視してしまえるのなら、反則でも何でもためらう理由はない。極端な話、田村の機体を攻撃、破壊して退場。
Moreover, a
残っ
racer
た
who has
勝
no
共が
intention of
勝つ
winning has no
という
need to
手さ
worry
えあ
about
る。
breaking the rules. It's even possible a Shokyo ally might deliberately attack Tamura's machine. They'd be disqualified, but Shokyo would be free to claim the championship. They probably won't go that far, not with their objective is to secure the approval of the fans. Still, less violent sorts of interference are definitely a possibility.
そんな時田村に一機でも味方がいればだいぶ違うってわけ。
If Shokyo does decide to play dirty, having even one razor on Tamura's side will make a big difference.
そしてもしそいつがバイタリティの持ち主なら雑魚どもを一手に引き受けて田村のハンディを帳消しにしちゃったりさえするかもしれんね。
If that racer happens to be something of a badass, he might be able to keep the bad guys busy all by himself. That would help cancel out Tamura's handicap.
つまりは、
And
そ
that's
れ
the
を期
role
待され
expected
て
of
いるの
me.
ですか？
So does Muramasa get Is this just like the Muramasa is jealous scene, or is this actually the target they're aiming for? This sudden and unexpected introduction of a Tsurugi.
できるっしょ、お兄
Sure
さん
you
な
can
ら。
handle it.
だいぶん買いかぶられているように思えてなりません。
Where your faith in me is
そ
misplaced.
っかな。
We'll see. The girl smiles as though I just claimed that the sun revolves around the earth. We've only just met, and for the life of me, I can't fathom why she trusts me so. It's almost like she's trying to force a Tsurugi on someone. That aside, however, I'm already fairly certain what my answer will be as I scan the faces of my companions. Ichijo, despite her clear dislike of the girl, appears to have at least accepted her reasoning. I'm not surprised Ichijo's sympathies would lie with Tamura in their challenge against Shokyo and its Rokuhara backers. The Otori pair's expressions are unreadable, but this comes as no great shock.
率直に申し上げて、興味がまるでないわけではありません。
I'd be
自
lying
分
if I
も
said I
少
weren't
年期にアー
interested.
マーレーサーを夢見たことがありま
In
す
my
が、
youth, I dreamt of becoming a racer,
うむ男の子なら核あるべし。
as all healthy boys
し
do.
かし、自分の身体能力がレースに耐える状態にあるかどうか疑問です。その点は体を動かしてみて確かめる必要があります。
That said, I'm uncertain whether my body is in any condition to withstand the stress of racing. I'll have to practice before I can make my
い
decision.
かがでしょうか。明日の朝、お返事をするということでは。
Will you accept my answer tomorrow morning? Ichijo blinks at this and the captain gives a barely perceptible nod. They seem to have grasped my intent. If I show a willingness to accept her offer, it gives the police team a reason to remain, thereby securing our freedom to investigate for the rest of the day. Ideally, we'll sniff out the infected Tsurugi tonight, and then I can simply inform the Liger tomorrow morning that I've regretfully decided to decline. It would feel like betraying the girl's trust, but the circuit is sacred, and amateur such as myself has no place there. I'm willing to violate that taboo, however, if the worst case scenario, namely, we fail to uncover the egg tonight, becomes a reality. Despite Muramasa's objections, we'll have no choice but to assume that the enemy has somehow defeated her scanning, in which case the only option will be to wait for it to reveal itself. The enemy in this scenario is likely to be among the racers participating in the final as originally expected. They have the most reason to desire power, and I'll enter as a racer, place myself in their midst, and strike at the moment the egg hatches. But I have questions for you. Have you even inspected this thunderbolt, this mystery thunderbolt? Muramasa believes this will occur sometime tomorrow. I'll want to be as close to ground zero as possible, not watching idly from the stands. Well, I mean, if you're literally wearing the Tsurugi that's hatching, you know, that'd be as close to ground zero as you can get, buddy. It would be catastrophic were a copy of Ginseigo to appear in the crowded stadium. There won't be a moment to waste. My answer covers both possibilities, making it the ideal solution. For me, that is.
我ながらご好意につけ込むような虫のいい申し状
I feel I'm
恥ずかしい
taking
限り
advantage
で
of
す
your goodwill. I apologize.
ああいいよ。じゃあ明日までに決めといてね。こっちは手続きだけしちゃっとくから。
It's cool. So let me know tomorrow. I'll take care of the registration in the meanwhile.
よろしいのですか
If she pushes my entry through and I drop out at the last minute, won't it put her in a difficult position? She grins, evidently unperturbed by that possibility. Can she actually get away with it, or does she just not care?
ノープロブレム。クルスはすぐにこっち持ってこさせるからさ。とりあえず走行してみてよ。もしも合わないようだったら別の用意するし。
No problem. Anyway, I'll have my crux sent over, so try it out. If you don't like it, I can get you another one.
いえその点に関しましてはご好意だけいただきます
The offer is greatly appreciated, but that won't be necessary.
どうすんの？
What are you gonna use?
自前のレーサークルスで臨みます参戦する場合には
I'll enter in my own racing crux if I decide to participate.
あるの？
You've got
以
one?
前に手に入れたものが一応かなりの老朽機ですがやはり少しでも慣れた品を使った方が良いと思われ
He's
ます
like, I don't cheat on Muramasa. It came into my hands after my stint as a test pilot. It's an old model, but I'd prefer to use something I'm a little familiar with,
差し障りがなければ
if you don't mind.
もう仕方ないかな、そういうことなら。哀れなりテラブリンガー。こうしてまたもや脚光を浴びる機会は奪われたのであった。
Alas, poor
なんで
Terror.
テラってつくとこうなのかな。コンクアラーも完全に時期外れだったし。
Once again, you're denied the spotlight. Why does this always happen when you add terror to something's name? I thought about Conqueror, but it seemed a little dated.
申し訳ありませんせっかくお気遣いいただきながら
I'm sure it means a lot to you.
いやいいけど、じゃあ明日の朝にまた来るので。
Don't sweat it. I'll be back first thing tomorrow.
はいご足労をおかけしました
Thank you for going
良
to
い
the
夜を
trouble.
お過ごしください
Have a good night. The girl waves and I bow farewell, and when I lift my head, she's gone, vanished as suddenly as she came. The garage is silent, and everyone looks baffled as though the victims of a sudden squall. It'll take them some time to process what just happened.
うまい具合に話が転がったってことでいいのかしら。
I suppose this is what they call having good fortune fall into your lap. Well, at least we get onto the track, and we have an excuse to stick around, right?
そう言っていいだろういささかうますぎて不審の念を覚えないわけではないが
It seems appropriate.
話は全て聞いていたか
It does feel a bit too good to be true, but we're out of options. Did you hear the whole conversation?
おおむねは。それにしても、初耳ね。あなたがまがいものを持っていたなんて。
Enough. By the way, you never told me you had one of those knockoffs. Why the big secret?
あるわけなかろう
Obviously, I was lying.
Eh?
The small hand-pulled trailer packed with loose metal parts can best be described as a public disturbance on wheels. With the racket as it rolls along, compounded by the echo-friendly hallway down which we're proceeding. Fortunately, there's no peace and quiet to be disturbed in the team paddocks, not even at night. Mechanics work from sundown to sunup to ensure the machines are in top condition, while those who can sleep, do so amidst the sweet lullaby of drills and hammers. Our trailer is just one more instrument in this conductorless orchestra of iron and steel. So, are we going to be racing? Do you think we're going to be racing? And will it be in the Thunderbolt or Muramasa?
いろいろ集まりましたね。
Sure got a lot.
上位のチームほど気前が良かったせいだな彼らは資金力があるだけに資材も豊富だ
Thanks to the generosity of the top-ranked teams, the wealthier your sponsors, the more resources you have to
そ
spare.
れでも敵に塩を送るような余裕はどこも持ち合わせていないでしょうけれど
Still,
ポ
it
リ
was
スチー
awfully
ム
nice
が
of
彼
them
らから敵とみなされていないのが幸い
to tell
で
us
した
these parts. We're lucky they don't see the police team as a threat.
ホットボルトをどう改造しても所詮ホットボルト。スーパーボルト仕様にするくらいが関の山でございますからな。加えてクラッシュ済みとなればなおのこと警戒など。
Are we customizing Muramasa? I don't know what we're doing. No amount of customization is going to turn Hot Bolt into a machine to be reckoned with. The best you can do is outfit it like a Super Bolt, and now they've even had a crash. You can hardly expect anyone to take them seriously. Miss Nagakura's assessment is hard to argue with. The other teams are perfectly justified in discounting the police team as a contender, and it's precisely this indifference which allowed us to so readily accomplish one of tonight's objectives. Unfortunately, we failed to make progress on our other, far more pressing objective, that is, almost we consider eliminating possible leads to be progress.
無言で不満そうな思念だけよこすな。鬱陶しい。
Stop beaming a vague sense of irritation into my head.
不満なのよ。
It's not vague to me.
我ながら悪くない案だと思うが、クラッシュした機体の修理に必要という名目で各チームのガレージを訪ね、余剰の部品を買い集めて回る。その際に荷台に潜んだお前がガレージ内を探査。サーキットに現れなかった予備機の識別を行う。特に問題点はない。実際調査は進んだ。
Fairly clever if I do say so myself, and in fact it succeeded. Albeit succeeded in ruling out every team we've checked thus far. Alas, it seems Kageaki does not have any genre savviness, or he would have been like, wait, this suspicious Thunderbolt that we've never seen that's apparently a fucking beast. That's really sus. Very sus. But he's never tried to check it out.
そうね。素晴らしい作戦よ。私もそう思う。
A wonderful plan.
そ
Couldn't
こま
have
で
asked
は
for
ね。
better. If that was all there was to it.
この先に何の
What
問
problems
題
with the
があ
rest of the plan?
る。集めた部品をお前の階層に有効活用するというだけだ。
If we fail to locate the target, we put the purchased parts to good use, modifying you for tomorrow's race?
そこが不満な
That's
の。
the problem? Muramasa's untempered kinshoujo explodes inside my skull, scrambling my brain like a physical blow. I grab hold of the wall to keep from keeling over.
どうされましたの？
Is something the matter?
いいえ。
No, it's all fine. I answer, shaking stars out of my eyes. Oof.
一石二鳥だろ。
We're killing two birds with one stone, Muramasa.
その前に、どうして私がまがいものの格好をして、かけ比べなんかに出なくちゃいけないのよ。片方だけでも勘弁してほしいっていうのに、両方なの？
Why do I have to dress up like one of those fakes and play the silly racing game? Either one would be disgraceful enough, and you want me to do both?
他に方法がない。
There are no other options. What, sus? The Tsurugi we were offered is super suspicious. But we haven't seen it yet. The point of participating in tomorrow's final is to maximize the chance of being close enough to the infected Tsurugi to destroy it at the moment of hatching. Needless to say, I'll have to be piloting Muramasa at the time. Muramasa is a Shinichi, however, and can't be mistaken for anything but if I equip her as is, I'll be announcing to the world the police have a Musha in their ranks. A disguise is necessary. And as luck would have it, Muramasa's shape and color scheme are not entirely dissimilar to Hot Bolt's. With the right tweaks, it should be possible to make her look like a customized Hot Bolt model. My proposed course of action is nothing if not sound.
違うか。
You disagree?
決勝とやらに参加する連中は、もう私が全部見ているのでしょ？
Haven't I already
そ
seen
の
all the
中に
knockoffs
規制隊はい
participating
な
in
か
this?
った。
None of them were infected.
だが、予備機まで調査して標的を発見できずとなれば、お前の目が幻惑されているとでも考える他に解釈の術がない。
But if we fail to locate the target among the remaining cruxes, we'll have to assume your senses are somehow being fooled. Kageaki, currently just wrestling the idiot ball from everyone else's hands. He's like, man, we've checked every single crux at the race and all the backup cruxes. What else could it possibly be? Oh wait, there was that crux that was offered like 5 minutes ago that I haven't seen. Yeah, it can't be that.
どこかに隠されている剣があるのかも。
There might be another one hidden somewhere.
可能性としては否定しない。だが、銀星号が力を求めるものを選んで卵を与えていると言ったのはお前だ。
Possibly, yes. However, you're the one who pointed out that Ginseigo is granting her eggs to those who desire power.
どんな理由があるにせよ。サーキット上で何もせず隠れているような武者が選ばれる
Someone
とは考
literally
えな
offered you a Tsurugi
参加
for
選手の方が
free!
可能性はある。
You're literally the target! I don't know how he doesn't get that! Ah! Like, you were the person who needed power because your Tsurugi was broken. They were trying to use you as the person who would receive the power. Yeah, whatever his reasons, Musha hides in the shadows is unlikely to qualify. It's logical to focus on the contenders. Muramasa groans, sounding no less reluctant than before. It's only human to allow emotion to get the better of intellect from time to time, but then Muramasa is a Tsurugi.
引き分けろ。
Reasonable.
子供をしつけるみたいに言わないで。あなたをそそのかした誰かは、まがいものを用意するって言ったんでしょ？
Treat me
なら
like a
それを
child.
借りればいいじゃないの。
Didn't that girl who dragged you into this offer to provide a knockout? Just use that, why don't you? I'm surprised. I didn't think Muramasa would be this stubborn. The idea of being used as a racing crux must be truly repugnant. Yeah, now think deeper, one layer. Not that I'm unsympathetic in a sense, it's rather like sticking a katana in a wooden frame and using it as a baseball bat. However,
ふざけているのか、村正。
is that your idea of a joke, Muramasa?
冗談よ。わかってる。他に方法はないんでしょ？ならそうするまでよ。
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. There's no other choice, right? And so be it. Alright, I was debating stopping, but I think we're gonna keep going. I want to know what he's doing for the race. I'm curious to see where it goes. It's almost like it's something I could use as a cliffhanger, maybe. We'll see. No other choice, so be it. Maybe.
それが
It's my duty
私
after
の
all.
役目なんだから。
そうだ。分かっているなら。
Good, as long as you understand. Of course, there's still a chance we might not have to enter the race, or we might find the target in one of the remaining garages. Things would be much simpler.
あとはどこが残っていたでしょうか。
Who's left to check?
お待ちくださいませ。田村だけでございますね
It。looks like only Tamura's left.
一番遠かったので後回しにしておりました。
We saved the garage furthest out of the way for last.
参りますの？
Shall we go?
はい。低いですが、田村の予備機にも可能性はあります。
Oh yes, however there's a possibility, however slight, that Tamura's spare is the carrier. I don't put much stock into it. Why would Ginseigo choose a spare over that metallic blue monster? Still, that's no reason not to be circumspect. It's for people who are desperate, you papaya. It's for people who are desperate because they don't have a backup, like the police team.
そろそろ0時を回りますね。
It's nearly midnight.
髪とお肌の具合が心配です。徹夜は良くないって言いますもの。
Worried about my skin? They say late nights are bad for your complexion.
チャラチャラしたもんだな。GHQ の大尉さんは。
Are all GHQ officers this fussy about their look?
そういうあなただって毎日手入れはしているのでしょ？こんな白くてプニプニしてて羨ましいったら。
Surely you put work into your skin too? It's so white and soft. What's your secret?
触るな、つまむな。つうか、私はそんなかったるいことはしてねえ。
Stop poking me, damn it. There's no secret. I don't have time for shit like that.
嘘。
Really?
本当だよ。
Really?
なんで銃がこっち向くんだ。
Why are you sticking your gun in my
お
face?
嬢様、お気を確かに。認めがたいことですが、時としてこのような方は存在するのです。
I know it defies belief, but such people do exist. Helena's idol song. I don't remember that one very well.
本当に
It truly
認めたくはありませんが、
does defy belief.
いるものはいるのです。
But the world is just that
仕
cruel.
方がないのです。
There's no choice but to accept it.
ナチュラルバーンフリックス。
Natural born freaks. Can we hear that again? Wait, oh, sorry, I have to stay on this page.
ナチュラルバーンフリックス。
There you go.
化け物呼ばわりかよ。こんなつまんねえことで。
No more freak because of my complexion. Give me a break. Who cares?
綾音様も口にはお気をつけよ。壁に耳あり、障子に目あり。いつの間にか多大な敵を作っているやもしれません。
Ami. Now that's a dangerous sight, my friend. Best to forget where you put your wallet for a while. You don't want to make bad financial decisions there. Now take care, young lady. The walls have ears. I wouldn't want to say anything you can't take back. I suppose it's a bit late to be dragging women
大
around.
義殿、お先に宿舎へ戻られては。
Captain, why don't you get some rest?
あらあら、 影明様、私の美容にお気を使ってくださるなんて嬉しいです。
It's so nice of you to think about my beauty regimen.
でもご心配なく、今のはほんの冗談ですの。私だってお肌の出来には自信がありますもの。
Not to worry, I was only joking. I'm quite confident in the quality of my skin.
この通り。影明様、触ってくださってもよろしゅうございましてよ。
Oh dear, feel for
任
yourself.
務中ですのでお気持ちだけいただきます。
As we're in the middle of our investigation, I'm afraid I will have to decline your generous offer. But my protest, my arm was firmly ensconced within her bosom.
てめえ
The fuck?
見事な仕掛け技でございますお嬢様。そうナチュラルな魅力で迫る年下系ヒロインに対抗して色気でいく年上系、
Of course.
それこそが正しいあり方というもの。
The sexy older woman is the perfect counter to the innocent young girl. You really know how things work.
まあ大抵の場合そうした年上系は序盤をリードするものの最後には逆転負けを喫すると相場が決まっているの
Of
です
course,
けれども。
the older heroine may lead in the beginning, but she generally loses in the end.
皆まで言わなくってもよくってよ。バーヤ、既成事実ね。既成事実があれば勝てるのね。
Keep that part to yourself, Sayo. You break it, you buy it. I just need him to stand in. Oh my goodness.
面白い夢空間言ってんじゃねえぞ腐れ山、とっとと離れやがれ。港さん嫌がってるだろうが。
You're living in a dream world, you crazy bitch. Let him go already. He doesn't want your nasty
あ
shit.
ら、誰がそんなことを言ったのかしら。ねえ、影明様、私と一緒に愛の自転車人生バラ色号に二人乗りして新たな未来へ漕ぎ出してくださるでしょう。
Damn, I know one of our viewers is certainly missing out on some fun times tonight. This is 100% up their alley. I didn't hear him say that, right, dear? Won't you join me on the bicycle of love as it carries us off into a rose-colored future?
いいえ
No.
ほらご覧なさい。
I tell you.
そりゃ私のセリフだ。
That's my line. A stupendously fast kick slices through the air, and suddenly the captain vanishes from beside me. The thwack makes me reluctant to turn around.
自転車の二人乗りは交通法規に抵触します。対殿。
Captain, it is against traffic regulations to ride in tandem on a single-seat bicycle.
おそうございますよ港様。
Much too late, sir. I'm aware. The captain picks herself up and rejoins us, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand.
見事な蹴りでしたよ、一条さん。うっかり走馬灯を見てしまうところでした。
A fine kick, young lady, she grins menacingly. My life flashed before my eyes.
そのまま帰ってこなけりゃいいもんを。渋ってえ甘だな。
I was hoping you'd stay down. You're a tough bitch, I'll give you that.
今度はこちらから参りましょう。受けていただけるかしら。
Now it's my turn to repay the favor. Are you ready?
検討か。笑わせやがる。
What's that, boxing? Don't make me laugh.
来い。
Bring it.
では侍従殿、
I'm off to
自
check
分
the
は田村のガレ
Tamura
ー
garage.
ジを見てまいります。
あ、いってらっしゃいまし。
Do take care, sir. I take the trailer's handle and begin heading in the direction of the garage. It shouldn't be far. But after a few steps, however, I come to a stop.
おや、いかがされましたか。
Is something the
い
matter?
え、
Just
今
now, I saw several men rush through the intersection a few meters ahead. If I'm not mistaken, they were wearing masks, and crude ones at that. They looked for all the world like a group of bank robbers in the middle of a heist. I recall Ichijo's remarks from earlier this evening. Some strange men roaming the hallways. They seemed dangerous, like they were out for blood. I call up a map of the area. The hallway they just ran down leads to...
みな、
Sir?
あら
Oh? The Tamura garage. There's no time to dig Muramasa out of the trailer. For better or worse, though, her assistance shouldn't be necessary. This is a more mundane sort of danger, which isn't to say the threat isn't real. There's not a moment to waste. I take off running. 3 pairs of footsteps follow behind me. Wait, I hear a 4th approaching from a side passage.
Yeah.
Yo!
あなたは
Why are you...
こんなこともあるんでないのって思ってね。
Figured something like this might
ちょ
happen.
っくら張り込んだりしてたわけだけど、いやはやなんつうか
So I was keeping a bit of
期
an eye
待
out.
を裏切らない展開じゃない。
And boy, they sure didn't betray expectations.
ぜひ裏切ってほしいものでしたが。
I'm running at full sprint, yet Liger keeps pace with me effortlessly. Her speed far surpasses what I would expect given her diminutive frame. Perhaps she's had some sort of training? Tamura's garage appears ahead. From within, I can already hear noises that no maintenance work should produce. Shelves and equipment crashing to the ground. Hard, blunt objects smashing into soft. Screams. We exchange a brief glance and leap into the fray. I assess the situation rapidly. 5, 6, 7 masked men and 4 attacking the crew, while 3 head for another target. It looks like the team was taking a nap. Bad luck, or, well, luck has nothing to do with it. The attackers were doubtless waiting for this very opportunity. Many of the crew are lying defenseless, disoriented by the sudden assault, and that the group of the 3's target, Oji Misao, is just sitting up from her cot in the corner of the garage. Oh, that's not great. The assailants are armed with metal pipes, crude but effective. Police, everyone freeze! At the sound of my roar, all movement in the garage ceases for a fraction of a second. Only the Tamura crewmen, however, remain still for longer than that. The masked men immediately resume their assault. I knew it. Enfeebled as they are, the police still possess some authority. One would expect criminals who've been caught in the act to show at least a modicum of hesitation. But to be so bold, these men must be bashed by some group whose authority exceeds that of the police. In addition, their primary target's clearly the pilot, the heart of any racing team. Taken together, these facts can only mean they were sent by... Liger lunges ahead, aiming for the man at the head of the pack, the one closest to Oji Misao. The moment of stillness brought by my shout is enough for her to close the range. The question is how she'll subdue her target, but I can't worry about that now. I just have to trust she knows what she's doing. My responsibility is to deal with the remaining 2. As I move to strike, I hear an angry shout from my rear. Ichijo's voice. They made it in time. I step in against my first enemy. When the target's moving away from you, blunt strikes to the back tend to be ineffective, so I aim to the side. A hooking punch to the liver. No, of course correction. This target must fall with a single blow. I drive my fist into his armpit with like a railroad spike. The man goes down without a cry, spitting foam as he crumples next against the man next to him. Oh nice, if his comrade's surprised by this, it's only for a heartbeat. He tosses his conscious ally aside. Wait, what? Hold on. I drive my fist into his armpit like a railroad spike, and the man goes down without a cry, spitting foam as he crumples against the man next to him. His ally was knocked unconscious by a blow to the armpit? With a fist? Really? I'm not sure I buy that, but okay. He just tosses his unconscious ally aside and continues towards his original target. Impressive dedication, to be sure. But that heartbeat is enough. My attack will reach him before he can strike. I plant my left leg and throw a roundhouse with my right. His decision to pursue the objective instead of responding to my threat necessarily leaves him wide open to my kick. It plows into his side, collapsing flesh all the way to his spine. Jesus, how hard do you hit? I guess any hit would collapse flesh all the way to your spine, right? Like a little bit. It'll all compress. That's not that hard. For an instant, the man seems to stand motionless. Then, like a coiled spring released from its catch, he flies into the nearby wall, and it's safe to assume he won't be able to accomplish his nefarious purpose. My view now unobstructed by enemies, I catch sight of the young racer with whom I spoke the day before. I lower my right leg, then pivot upon it to scan the area. The first person I see is... Ichijo, Kanai, or Liger? Dude, I'm gonna see Liger. I just want to see what's going on here. Liger? Where is she? The third of Oji Misao's assailants is face down on the floor, but I see no sign of the girl who must have put him there. I turn at the sound of booted feet swiftly striking the floor behind me, and there she is, facing off with another opponent 5 meters away. The man's back is to me. He was by my side just a moment ago when we took on the 3 men together, and now, this layout, plus the sound of something landing. Impossible. She jumped? Sweet dreams. Liger thrusts their fingers into the space between his nose and upper lip, the pressure point called Jinshu. The man goes limp, collapsing to the floor, and I doubt he even had time to feel pain. The precision of her movements is astounding. Her techniques strikes me as a blend of traditional principles and untraditional application. Perhaps she was unsatisfied with the style she had learned formally and added some touches of her own? Whatever the case, it's not the sort of thing a socialite learns in her spare time. Does she belong to a warrior house? If so, that would make her... No. Oh, no, we're leveling up her. No. I should have just picked this route, or this route. Why did I pick the Liger to see what the fuck Liger was on about? I pull my attention away from her and back to the task at hand. Right now, every second is worth more than a mountain of gold. Situation, there were 7 enemies. I see 6 of them down. That leaves 1 more. To my right, Misao's mouth is open wide as if to scream. Before the sound makes it past her lips, I follow her gaze to the rear of the garage. The last attacker is there, charging towards a large rectangular crate, and in his hand is something small, ovoid, like a pineapple. A grenade. He pulls his arm back, preparing to throw, and I realize the target is a Tsurugi case, and on its side, the name, Avenger. Misao leaps up and runs toward the man, but I seize her from behind and drag her to the floor. That's Dad. She struggles against me, and I hold her down, covering her body with my own. It's too late. Distance, time, position, every factor points to the same conclusion. If she tries to stop what's about to happen, she'll only succeed in becoming a casualty. Not me, her back cries into my chest. I ignore it. As we writhe on the floor, the masked man lobs the grenade at the case. For an instant, I'm back in the jungle, huddling in a foxhole with a rifle in my hands. It's a distant memory, a vision of a world lost to madness and terror. I know this cloying scent all too well. Back then, it was the air I breathed. The smoke thins. Fragments of something lie scattered across the floor. I feel the body beneath me go rigid with an understanding and despair. The enemy soldier lifts his hands triumphantly, his eyes narrowed in joy above his mask. I leap up. Perhaps I also give voice to a howl of grief. Perhaps I'm mistaking someone else's voice for my own. The man sees me, he turns to flee, and I catch him. Fist through solar plexus. The man drops, vomiting bile, and so the battle comes to a close. Most of the attackers are unconscious, and the rest are in no condition to talk. It'll be a while before we can get anything out of them. 3 crewmen suffered injuries, all light. Someone's already brought out a first aid kit. It shouldn't take long for them to patch themselves up, but I doubt they'll offer the kit to those in more dire need of it afterwards. I wouldn't ask them to. The sound of sobbing reaches my ears, and I have no words to answer it. I've seen firsthand the love Misao bore for the crux called Avenger, and I know the reason for its strength. Even those who do not are equally speechless. Ichijo is staring at the floor, expression as grim as I have ever seen on her face. If her frustration continues to mount, I fear she'll soon bite through her lower lip. I'll have to calm her before that happens. Captain Otori, meanwhile, is staring at the barrel of her gun. Like a priest who bitterly regrets abandoning her life as a killer, Miss Nagakura stands silently beside her. Liger is kneeling beside the destroyed crux, examining some of the wreckage. I can't really tell what she's thinking. Fuck. Ichijo hisses. Perhaps seeing an outlet for her rage, she shoots a glare at the masked men still groaning on the floor. If she were capable of venting her anger on these men as they lie helpless, Ichijo would doubtless have an easier time in life. Alas, she's not so indulgent, and she soon averts her gaze. So these assholes were sent by... I feel it would be uncouth to speak it aloud.
黄金の翼で圧倒的な王座に君臨するつもりが何の間違いでか青い牙に尻尾へ食いつかれている。
The gold-winged tyrant was meant to reign unopposed.
焦ったことでございましょう。
And along comes the blue-fanged demon to bite at its heel. I imagine it lit quite a fire under certain bottoms.
だからってこれはルール違反っていうかそれ以前の問題じゃねえか。
It's criminal.
港さん、逮捕できないんですか？全員。
It doesn't take much imagination to understand what all of them encompasses in this context, nor is it difficult to reach the answer. It's not I who voices it, however.
無駄だろうね。
It won't get you anywhere. Liger stands, having finished her inspection.
連中が脳みそのつもりでナッツミルクを頭に入れてる甘味過剰のおバカでなけりゃ人の手配の段階から専門の業者に頼んでるだろ。
Unless they've
鎌
got
倉にはその手のは5万といるし。
unless they've got coconut milk for brains, she continues, managing to shrug and smirk at the same time. They'll have hired guys to hire these guys. You can find pros like that all over Kamakura. It's almost like this person hired them. Strange, isn't it? She's just waiting for this opportunity to make an offer and look like the good guy. Seems good.
自分らはただどっかの安っぽい飲み屋でたまたま隣り合わせた誰かにこんなことがあったらいいなっつう希望を聞かせただけ。もちろん何の罪も問えない。
Someone in some seedy bar somewhere just mentioned out loud how nice it would be if something like this happened. That's not a crime, is it?
そういうシステムになってんのね。10円かけてもいいけどこいつらには何も立証できないよ。
That's how it works.
せい
I'll
ぜい
bet
が
you
こい
10
つらの
yen.
親分止まり。
These goons won't be able to tell you
そ
a
こか
thing.
ら先は
And the
ゴリ
furthest you'll
の
get
中。
is their boss. After that, it's all smoke and mirrors. Ishijo kicks the floor viciously, though I can't tell if her anger is with Liger herself or with what she just said. Either way, Liger's right. It's unlikely we'll get any names out of these men or that their testimony would be of any use in court if we did. With the shogunate lurking in the shadows at Shokyo's back, and this goes double if they decide to step out into the light, the last thing we can hope for is a fair trial, if we even make it to a trial to begin with. That's right. If you didn't forget, the shogunate is backing Shokyo, and they don't want Shokyo to lose, so of course they would do this. I intend to arrest these men for their crimes, but I'm not optimistic they'll remain in jail for long. Of course, one could make the argument that they at least have already received fair punishment. Have they, though? Have they? All through the course of racing history, and all through the course of racing history, do hundreds of millions of dollars in damage? And what, get a kick in the face for it? Dude, I wish that was a fucking case. That'd be fucking hilarious. If I could do, cause remember, you research, you don't make a you don't make a new car every racing season, right? You usually upgrade them in between races. So I would assume this is like a massive investment. If a punch in the face is all you get for doing like a couple $100 million or more of damage to a company, that'd be the easiest fucking shit to bankrupt. Holy shit. A punch in the face, I mean, I'd take that punch in the face. It's dead? I mean, does a Tsurugi count as dead? I mean, it's a racing Tsurugi, so it does kind of suck. A man appears beside me, his thin face expressionless. Oji Tsurugi, he hasn't come for my sake, obviously, but for his daughter, who quivers on the floor like a dying bird. He looks down at her, perhaps searching for the right words. They too can find nothing to say. At length, Suguru turns to me. He must have decided I'd be easier to talk to.
Minato-san でよろしかったですね。
Officer Minato, was it?
ええ。到着が遅れ。
Yes, I'm sorry we didn't make it in time.
とんでもない。あなた方のおかげで救われました。なんとお礼を言ったものか。
Oh, don't be. You saved us. I don't know how to thank you.
あちらのご婦人方も警察の？
Are these ladies also with the police? I trail off. My assortment of companions is rather difficult to explain. He seems to take my silence as embarrassment, and something resembling a smile appears on his lips.
あなたには特に感謝します。見ていました。あなたがいなければ、ミサオはあの爆風に巻き込まれていたでしょう。
I'm particularly grateful to you, officer. I saw how you shielded Misao from the blast.
同じチームの人間として、無論、まず父親として、港
As
さん、
a teammate
ありが
and
とうござい
father,
ま
of
す。
course. Allow me to express my gratitude. He bows deeply, and I don't know what to say. I didn't expect him to be so calm. Surely his attachment to his creation was no less than his daughter's.
危うく、取り返しのつかぬことになるところでした。
Why, if not for you, we would have lost everything.
その点に関しては、
I fear such
やは
praise
り
is
我
undeserved.
々は間に合わなかったようです。
I survey the pieces of the white crux scattered across the... White? White? I survey the pieces of the white crux scattered across the garage. There's no time to repair it if it can even be repaired. White? Mura could enter with the spare crux, but how far will that take them? And moreover, who will pilot it? Will the girl weeping on the floor have recovered by morning? Isn't it a blue crux? It was labeled Avenger. But he said white. He said white. No need for drama now. I'm paying attention. The box was labeled Avenger, but the crux is white. And then it hits me. Something's off about the image feeding into my brain.
白い。
The pieces are white? Avengers color scheme was a brilliant blue. There may have been white parts somewhere, but not this many.
我々は救われました。あなた方に。
You saved us,
ええ。
officer.
最初に申し上げた通り、
Just like I said. Sir.
大獅子。
I look into his eyes, which I've been avoiding this whole time. They're not just calm, they're positively mischievous.
どうしても勝ちたい勝負で、勝てないかもしれない相手がいる。ならそいつを消してしまえ。
The surest way to win is to get rid of anyone who might pose a threat. It wasn't hard to foresee this play.
確かにね。本場じゃわりかし茶飯事らしいよ。そういうの
For
も。
that. I hear this sort of thing happens all the time in Europe. The young VIP shakes her head and laughs. She pieced things together herself, it seems.
狙われるのはレーサーとクルス。 特に後者だ。なんせ自力じゃ逃げられないし、大きくて重くて目立ってかさばる。
Crux is
ル
usually
ー
the
ル無
main
視の連
target.
中にすりゃ狙いやすい。
It's
だか
big,
ら
it stands out, and it can't run away. That's why you...
収納の際にはあらかじめすり替えておく。向こうでは当然すぎてむしろ使われないほどの防御策です。
That's why you switched it beforehand. In Europe, it's such an obvious precaution, it's actually better not to do it. Glad to see it still works in Yamato. I look to the corner of the room furthest from the destroyed Crux, and there sits a plain wooden box about the same size as the case that read Avenger. It looks like it could be used to store dirty laundry.
お父さん。
Huh? Misao has stopped crying, and she looks up at her father, a question in her eyes. In answer, he walks over to the box.
ああ。
Oh,
あらあら。
well.
まあまあ。
I do say. Ichijo looks somewhat deflated, the violent rage that threatened to consume her. Suddenly spinning its wheels. The Otori pair, meanwhile, look on in admiration and quiet amusement. Suguru lifts the lid and sticks his hand inside. And then, with an almost disappointing lack of fanfare, a glittering blue helmet appears before our eyes. It's a different emotion that renders Misao speechless now. She gazes upon her undamaged partner, the blood of a racer stirring within her once more.
壊させなどしない。このアベンジは決して。
I won't let anyone destroy it, not my Avenger.
では
And the
破
White
壊され
Crux?
たのは
予備機です。これはこれで損失ですが、取り返しのつかないも
A
ので
loss
は
to
あ
be
りませ
sure,
ん。
but not an irreplaceable one. Is it your responsibility as a racing team to protect your racing Crux from people running at you with pipes and grenades? Or is that the responsibility of the security people at the racing track? I feel like they've been a little bit lax. Judging by the color and shape, it's likely a Thunderbolt. Successor to Hot Bolt, Misao has piloted one in numerous races. I breathe a sigh.
手間が省けてしまいましたね。
I suppose that saves us the trouble.
全くです。
粋な覆面姿のお歴々にはお礼を述べておきましょうか。どうも聞いていただける状況にないのが残念でご
To
ざい
thank
ま
these
す。
masked gentlemen for their help, though I doubt they're in any condition to hear us. Thanks to their efforts, we no longer have to check Tamura's spare Crux. I only need to ask Muramasa whether Ginseigo's signature is still present. It will have vanished if indeed the Thunderbolt was infected. I don't believe for a second it was, however. Ginseigo's eggs bestow upon their host a fragment of Muramasa's power, and it seems ludicrous that such a Tsurugi would be destroyed by a mere grenade. So it's decided then. I'm participating in the final race of the Yamato Grand Prix.
確かにそんな夢を抱いて眠ったこともある。だがまさか
I'll not deny I spent many nights dreaming of such glory. Once upon a time, but I never thought my childhood dream to come true after all these years. Truly, you never know what life will throw at you.
お父さん。
After a few moments staring at the ceiling while I process things, I lower my gaze just in time to see Misao leap into her father's
す
arms.
まないな、ミサオ。不安にさせて。お前にも教えてやれればよかったんだが、こういうことはこっそりやらないと意味がないからな。
Sorry for putting you through that, he says, stroking her hair. I wanted to tell you, but these things always work better the less people know.
よかった。
It's okay, I'm just happy.
本当に。
Thank goodness. As I watch the two embrace, I feel something akin to relief. Whatever happens tomorrow, we protected something today. It's a good thing, surely, especially when compared to the alternative.
ミサオ、お前も言ったように、この機体はお父さんの全てだ。
Misao, I poured my heart and soul into this Crux, just like you said.
1分25秒13。知っているな、ミサオ。
1:25:13. Do you know what that is?
ヌボラーリ。
Yeah, Nuvolari.
そうだ。昨年、この鎌倉サーキットの落成式典に招かれた世界最速の男。6年連続欧州統一王者ヌボラーリが叩き出した記録だ。
Six-time European champion, the fastest man in the world when he was invited to the opening of this track.
僕はあの領域に挑む。世界の頂を望んで果たせなかった過去に
I'll avenge my
逆襲
shattered
する。
dreams of glory.
小強のおもちゃなど敵とは思わない。僕が狙うのは世界の最高峰だけ。
Forget about Shokyo's toy. My goal is to stand on the world summit.
そのためのアベンジ。そのためのお前だ。
That's what Avengers for. That's what you're for.
お前たちは僕が必ず守る。
I'll protect both of you with my life.
お父さん。
だから超えてみせてくれ。
Show me, Misao. Show me what lies
世界
beyond.
の極限を。
Claim
僕
the
のアベ
world.
ンジを果たしてくれ。ミサオ。
Conquer the world and claim my vengeance.
お父さん。明
Tomorrow I'll win, and then
日必ず勝ちます。
the world.
そして世界に。
ああ。
Misao. To conquer the world, that's why many racers devote themselves to speed. Faster they fly and faster still, seeking to leave all else behind, to stand at the top, alone and untouchable. Those who have abandoned this dream gaze from the stands at those who still chase it, entrusting their lost ambition to the fading backs of those valiant warriors. And the distance between them only grows. I was right, I'm not fit to be a racer. Somewhere along the line I forgot the dream that was part of my childhood. Dream of a world all my own. Alright, somehow we got 2 more points with Liger, I guess? Question mark?
ヤマト初アーマーレース国内統一選手権ヤマトグランプリ
Welcome to the last day of the Yamato Grand Prix, the first national championship in Yamato's history. And right there is where we're going to stop for tonight.